Welcome in, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here for a special edition of Fantasy MLB today. We are live streaming a Tout Wars draft. It's a 15-team league, innings pitched and saves plus holds. Nothing changed on the batter side, but the pitchers a little bit different settings than we are used to. And I'm joined by an old friend of ours. Hasn't been here in a while. It's been way too long, but he is drafting alongside with me today. John Laghezza from The Athletic. How you doing, man?
Joey, we've been doing a lot of battle recently, right? You and I are like, people keep pitting us head to head. I was actually lucky. I got the best of it last year, so I'll be representing us in the main event. Those qualifiers are great, man. If anybody's unfamiliar and looking to kind of get into NFBC, that's my highest recommendation because it can be very expensive, but for $125, you can get in the qualifier. And you get all of, you get all the bad stuff, right? All the high-end competition, all the really difficult draft rooms. But again, it's a pretty reasonable price, and it's a great way to cut your teeth for the main event, And if you win, it's winner take all, and I was lucky enough to do just that.
Yeah, you were wire to wire, I think. You had like 130 Roto points or something.
No. You know what's funny, man? Roto is something. I've actually heard you speak about this on your show. It's remarkable that we could play for 6 months, 1,000 moves with 3,500 players, and somehow it comes down to one seed at the end of the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Base hit or one strikeout. This one thing I wanted to mention, just make sure that you're on the same page. You mentioned no changes for offense. This is an OBP league, my friend.
This is OBP?
This is an OBP league. I'm very glad I let you know that, and it's right for that. Even though
I didn't. Jesus, I was looking through the whole thing. I didn't see that mentioned anywhere.
Yeah, so this is the category. This is the old category league. Tout Wars IP with Soldier as an OBP league.
Okay, that is good.
It'd be funny if it's not like that. Would be so funny if it's not because like I played last year, but things do change. I'm looking at he actually sent me like the rules. God, it's like so sure. This is so funny. I hope I didn't throw you off. I'm like, dude, I want to say like I'm like a 99% positive.
Well, seeing Soto go third overall, I think I would have got the idea.
Yes. Okay. I'm looking. I can see the finished standings from last year, and it is certainly OBP. Listen,
yeah. Okay. Can you hear the sound coming through on?
Yes, I have heard the bling kind of come in.
It won't let me mute it. It says it's.
Have you tried muting the actual tab? Sometimes you can go through. I don't know if you use Chrome or whatever you're using. Sometimes you could right-click the tab and mute the tab itself. Sometimes that works. Or maybe you could just kill the sound.
Yeah, how do I do that? I just don't want people to be hearing this beeping the whole time in the background.
All right, we're flying Acuna. Strider went 2. Soto to Towers, like you said. OBP slant.
It's weird how the volume's still coming through. It shouldn't be.
Tucker went to Steinhorn. I'm like... Let's see. I haven't, of course, me. I'm like, I breaking the first rule, playing on a different format. I should have like played around. Oh, I'm on the clock, man! Unbelievable. Corbin Carroll, Aaron Judge, Freddie Freeman. Man, funny, Joe. I've been not say sweating, but I've had my third eye on the 5 outfielder, and I feel like it kind of dries up. So I had been leaning to it. So I think I'm going to check both those boxes. I'm going to go with my boy Aaron Judge.
Okay.
Even though, there are steals and Carroll does a lot, I think Judge is kind of determinative in OBP.
Yeah, I have no problem at all with Judge. I was a little worried about what they were saying recently with his foot, that it's going to bother him for the rest of his career or whatever it was they said.
Oh, you want to? Can I address that really quick?
Yeah, go for it.
Not that I have inside knowledge of this stuff, but maybe I've just been hanging out with Dr. Dave too long. You kind of realize, maybe to pull the threads on this stuff. So what they had said, I went and listened to it, was just that it would be requiring maintenance all year. Okay. Now, he broke a toe. I don't know if you've ever had a kind of toe injury. All you could do with the toe is basically splint it or cut it off. In his case, there's a good chance the way he smashed it that he just messed up his nail somehow. And the maintenance they could be talking about are literally like, pedicures and stuff. And it sounds funny, but I know from in another lifetime I was an electrician. You're on the clock, my friend.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure I didn't lull you to sleep. And in my other life as an electrician, I have actually smashed my fingers, and I go through the same exact thing. Like I have a lifetime finger maintenance guy. because if I don't do it, I'll get an ingrown nail or a hangnail or something, and then that could mess you up and get infected and hurt you for a month. So that's kind of the feeling that I got, that he's just going to be, pedicured and splinted. I really didn't think much of it. I think Aaron Judge is fine.
How much do you think it'll affect the stolen bases?
I mean, I don't really expect much from him in the first place.
Yeah.
He's done pretty well with the new rules, which I like, right? Guys that are non-zeros. I think that is important in this one. What do you go? He stole 3 last year and 458. Year before 16, felt a little high. Projections are around 8. Yeah, I dig that. I give you, kind of like 7 to 10 somewhere. Where I think, and you know what's funny? Again, we mentioned how leagues can come down to the very last day. Can't turn your nose at 7 to 10 steals. It matters, right? Even among hitters. Like, I think, to me, that's a big difference between Judge and Jordan Alvarez, let's say.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right there. It's a couple versus nothing. Jordan, at least, pretty much is going to be 0, maybe one. But Judge actually has a potential to give you a few there at least.
Yeah, and those 10s certainly do stack up.
Yeah, I'm just trying to map out my next couple of picks, but it is very difficult because we get used to, I know you and I play a lot of NFBC. You get used to the way those drafts tend to go. And then you see Bobby Witt Jr. go 14th overall, and your brain kind of has a malfunction.
Yeah, well, I guarantee you Jeff is doing like a dance right now in his chair. Because, again, there comes a point where you, not to say you ignore it, but you take all the rest of the good stuff that comes with it. It just can hurt you, right? If he repeats, I had to check it myself, 319 OBP is a pretty big difference from the 400s that you can get from some of the guys up top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I see you going nuts there with the sound. I feel bad.
Oh,
I would think it would be on the either on the draft settings that you could just mute all notifications or something. It might be on like your league page where you have to just mute notifications from the league.
It might be, yeah. Let me see.
Yeah, that'd be my guess, because I haven't played Fantrax in a bit. For whatever reason, I don't understand all the ins and outs, like the legalities, but I can't play best ball there anymore. Which again, I don't understand. I can play underdog best ball, I can play NFBC baseball, and I could gamble, but I can't play Fantrax. It's not allowed in New York.
The laws are so weird. I'll never understand it.
It's so stupid. And I know there's not a betting thing, but it lends itself to what's one of the major problems with betting itself is the disparity in prices and illiquidity in the market. And it's not, I don't want to say it's not fair, but it's not standardized. And we want these things to be standardized to make it more, easier to follow. And again, in a world where, like, let's say the government got involved in standardizing, you'd actually be able to trade slips earlier. Like, let's say I got a game that was over under 8 and it went up to 9. I'd be able to sell that as a value on an open market, which was like really galaxy brain here. But
really? Okay.
Well, that's how securities kind of work, right? When you have a fixed and standardized price, then you'd be able to offer these things on an open market. The reason you can't do this with betting is it's like technically legal, but they're not working together. It's not standardized. The pricing is different and stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if the stuff I'm talking about, I know it's galaxy brain, but maybe like 10 years down the road. Anyway, you think about your pick. I'll get people on the horn. So Ponce went, Witt, Siege went, Carroll and Olsen at the turn. Then it was J. Ram, Austin Riley, Pete Alonso, and Trey Turner. Amazing Turner, a guy that's like a 101 type of player, right, in past, has now fallen so far. I actually wrote him up by ranks. Shameless self-promotion incoming. Follow me on Twitter at John Laghezza. Pinned tweet is to my top 655. But I also did over 100 detailed write-ups, 30-plus tiers to get you through your drafts, favorite DC picks, and then I have like uploadable underdog stuff, CSV stuff. And what I was going to get to with Turner, Joe, is, gosh, man, not to get into like the billboard stuff, but like, man, he was basically himself, down the stretch.
Yeah. And
oh my gosh, I want to.
You're on the clock here, John.
I know. I'm trying to hit. I haven't used this draft room in a minute. Okay, I didn't click the plus. Yeah, I clicked on the player name and not the plus, and it didn't have like a draft now here. I was looking for my guy, Zach Wheeler.
I'm pretty out of touch with Fantrax at this point. I've been just so much NFBC. I've still got my home leagues on Yahoo, but I don't really play much Fantrax anymore.
Make sure we scan the ADP, right? Good tip for people. Anytime you're using different formats.
Yeah.
Dude, I have my home league is on CBS. It's my point league, and nothing is more disparate, right? I mean, if you just have NFPC, which I've done, and you go sit at this board, you go scan it down and go, oh my goodness, I got so and so was going 10 rounds later than you thought. It's just really worth it to go look and kind of take some time and scan through it.
Yeah.
You know what I want to ask you, because this is a little bit different. I mean, not to give not any names, but the Saints hold thing, does that really move the needle for you? I get that question a lot.
I think it will a little bit. If anything, it just kind of makes me more certain about certain names. Guys who I'm not 100% sure they're going to be the closer all year, but even if they're not, the Jose Alvarados of the world, Andres Munoz's, it gives
Yeah.
you a little more certainty there. I still think
Yeah.
the top tier guys are going to be elite one way or the other. It doesn't change too much for me at the top, more so as you go down the board a little bit and then you get into those kind of questionable committees. That's where I see more value in it personally. What about you?
Yeah, it's funny because we've swapped wins for innings pitched.
Yeah.
You're not really going to move the needle with relievers. Now, I guess there's an argument to be made if you have one of the, what's a full, the highest guy's probably 75 or 80 compared to, like, even if you're streaming, you might get more than that streaming because you can not say guarantee it, but you get a good look ahead. So it really kind of slims it down. So I was thinking about moving them for hold guys that no one really wanted.
Yeah.
But this league was only 12 teams last year. So
Mm.
when I was looking at the roster, look who's left. But now you add these extra squads. I don't know. So I'm thinking my regular fab process might be in order. Let's get one guy we know we can bank on, and then maybe we'll figure out the rest.
Yeah, I'm absolutely there with you. It's still the same, like 9 starting pitchers. It's the same kind of roster construction format wise as it is on the NFBC, 14 batters and 9 pitchers. Will you change your standard? Like, I'm not sure what your standard is. 6 starters, 3 relievers, or something like that. Is that what you tend to do, or 7 and 2?
Yeah, it depends on the quality of that reliever.
Yeah. Okay.
In this one, again, I think because we're chasing a second category, and there are going to be teams that are just inherently disinterested because those are full already. And like I said, you're not going to move innings pitched. You're hardly moving strikeouts. Like, it's really about that one category.
Yeah.
I might be the only person shopping for holds in season, I feel like. So I'm probably just going to go with 1 or 2. I've done very well in my past with starting pitching. I think it has to do with the handicapping work I do, right? We kind of have a microscope out on a lot of the starting pitchers. So I lean into my strength, which, again, moving to NFPC, so bad at offense. Like, I never properly understood batting average. I know we said this is OBP, but I hadn't properly understood batting average.
It's tricky. I mean, you talk about NFBC in general. My first year was last year, and you go in thinking, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. It was a tough year. It was definitely a tough year, just kind of getting used to the way that things work, the way that Fab is, just when you're used to the waiver system, Fab is just a whole new game. It's still fantasy baseball, obviously, but it's just a completely different animal altogether. But it's a lot more fun, I think. I think I've had a lot more fun playing fantasy baseball in the NFBC than I had on Yahoo and the different sites. Nothing against the sites. I think it's just the level of player you're playing against more so.
Yeah, that too. I had to really get adjust to the Friday lineup swap, like allowing, again, if people NFBC allows you to change your hitters only on Friday for the weekend, which is really great, man, right? We've all lost hitters on Monday, and you hate eating that 0, and it's nice if you have something to be able to stick it in there.
Yeah.
And you realize, it's funny, because, again, I happen to be good at Fab, because I think I'm really cheap. So that in itself has helped me in NFBC Fab. Like, you really don't want to overpay for people. You want to get guys at your price. If not, just get the next guy. A lot of people overpay for pieces they don't end up holding on to. So there I did well. But what I didn't do well, Joe, was so I didn't ever take like a broad enough view, I guess. Because I'd be looking at the results. And, of course, we're focused on did you get your guy? Not realizing, like, wait, why are all the Cardinals going? Why do all the best players take all the Cardinals? And because they're going to Colorado next week, and this guy's about to mop up, 4 games in Colorado, then maybe they go somewhere else good, Cincinnati or something like that, and you didn't realize that for $1, he's going to be stacking all the best spots, and there is something to maximizing those optimum plate appearances that I really had to adjust to. I haven't perfected it, but now, people like yourself, the boys on the wire, guys like DiPietro are looking more forward, and I understand that's something that's important.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. Like, going into last year, I was thinking Do I need to change my lineups every single Friday? Like that was my initial mentality of, most weeks you got your guys, you got your regulars. If they're playing 7 games, there's no need to tinker with it really. But that was a huge rookie mistake. You look at the work of guys like Mike Kurland and guys who cover lineups, and you'll find these little advantages over the course of a weekend or even over the course of a full week or two, just by slotting in some guys that normally you wouldn't care about into your lineup, whether it's a Rocky or it's somebody going to Colorado, somebody on the Reds, or somebody also going to Cincinnati or something. Like there's a lot that goes into winning an NFBC league as opposed to winning a public league on Yahoo or ESPN or anywhere else. Really, it's a whole different animal. I know sometimes it gets a reputation of a few different things, snob or whatever, but it is a great place to play fantasy baseball. That's the main takeaway from the NFBC. Like there are great people and terrible people on every platform, but it's a great place to actually be playing your leagues, I think. And the price points, they do have leagues that cost thousands of dollars, but they also have leagues that cost $50. So you can get in at a fairly low price point as well.
Yeah, that's you're very good about this stuff too. We never want to speak for other people's cash flow. But again, it's 6 months, and you really need to look at it like that, right? Before you're saying, and again, listen, I think objectively, $5,000 for a fantasy league is a lot, and it's kind of nuts.
Oh yeah.
But when we get to even at 100, or like I mentioned, MEQs, main event qualifiers for $125, the amount of work you put into $125 is, I think it's worth it. It's a good spot. See, I'm already kind of feeling the pressure of OBP having not leaned towards steals early. Yeah. Like I'm already feeling the burn. Man, I think I'm just going to kind of lean into the OBP stuff and try and stack my steals. Oh man, I'm torn between Altuve, who's the OBP, or Luis Robert is more like the balance. I think I'm actually going to go Robert because I think I have a better chance at a 25-25. And just try and build the balance, right? Do so, keep your options open. Which it's funny how the best ideas oftentimes, I'm not saying that are not necessarily original. I'm not trying to knock them, but right, they're just the best framed, right? The most properly framed, the most succinct, the most concise. And Phil really nailed it with that, right? That's what it's all about. And I have noticed falling back on that, and what he said people could do, keep all drafting options open. I forgot what the second O was, but it makes sense, right? Especially in 5x5, where you want to be careful not to pigeonhole yourself into leaning on players that are extremely flawed and can lead to a single point of failure. So I've been finding if I get a guy that could just put a little bit in every bucket, all right, and I'm going to just kind of move it forward, from there. Maybe keeping an eye on power, where speed is probably a little bit easier to find on the waiver wire nowadays. Yep. Middle infielders coming up, youngsters coming up. Home runs, I think you have to leave the draft with home runs. I really believe that.
I think you can find power late and even on Fab, but it's not going to be coming with anything else. It's going to be bad batting average, no speed. It's going to be a single category power guy if you find him, Brent Rooker or a Joey Gallo or somebody like that. I feel like, and those guys might be drafted here. But I feel like you can generally find some power. It's just kind of shitty and doesn't come with a lot else if you're able to find it.
Yeah. Maybe last year, see, it's also human nature to just look back at the most recent event and assume that will happen again.
Yeah.
The thing that came to my mind is that it was very hard to find power last year. Again, that doesn't mean it will happen again, right? You mentioned Rooker and Sawinski was out there, but even Sawinski, if you managed to get that, he took you on a roller coaster, and you may not have even gotten all of those home runs, right? And that's another thing I hear you talk about that I like to talk about when I do my fantasy work is be careful looking at some of these stat lines. If you, even for pitchers too, the same thing. There's some pitchers that, hey man, you aren't going to start them against the Braves and the Dodgers. I'm not saying you could game log snip, but you could say, hey, they beat the teams they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Or in reverse, is the playing time reliable, right? It's going to be interesting. That's something I get stung with on NFBC too, although that's one of those you can't do anything about it, right? You have a guy that sits against lefties, which is the danger of having platoon guys. He has 2 lefties in a 3-day set. All of a sudden, you have to start thinking about sitting a guy you would have never sat on a week format.
Yeah, exactly. You prefer weekly over daily leagues, I guess, at this point?
Yeah, I don't think I could do daily. And maybe NFBC did figure it out. Nothing's going to be perfect. Daily leagues are a little too intense for me because it opens up. And I get it. It's part of strategy. It's not cheating. You're playing within the rules, but it just opens up too much. I don't want to say chicanery, but that's the word that comes to my mind without implying anything negative. That there's a lot there.
So Paul in the chat doesn't seem to be happy that we're talking quote unquote nonsense instead of talking about the picks. You can see the picks on the screen here. We are going through it every now and again, but we are also
Okay, let's get
talking
back on track with that. He's
some
right. Okay, we go
strategy
back on
stuff
track.
as well.
Everybody knows the first 3 rounds.
This is what you get with the two of us. We're going to bounce around. We're going to go off topic here and there as well. But the board is on screen for you guys here.
Not a lot of surprises. The first 3 or 4 rounds are generally who you think, where you think. You mentioned, a guy like Witt fell further than you think, and Carroll fell further than you think. Those might end up being real gifts. Where a guy like Schwarber moves into the middle of the second round. But most players don't. It doesn't really. I don't want to say it doesn't move that. It doesn't move that much because you're still looking for all those other skills right now. We still need runs and ribbies and stuff. Man, I started outfielder with Wheeler in the middle, a little Wheeler sandwich, and now I'm going to be up again, and I'm not sure where to go because this is where you get caught swapping OBP. Like I love Adolis Garcia, but that's another guy who might drag my OBP a touch. Whereas, like, Nolan Jones, his numbers are staring at you. But, like, what are the chances of repeating that stuff? Although,
I don't think he's very repeatable. I think those steals were a huge anomaly. He had like a 400 BABIP. He's still going to be fine, I think, but he's not worth a 4th round tag. I don't think.
His BABIP was legit historical. Was just absolutely legit historical. Okay, I'm going to do something a little out of character, but I think it works because this is the league for it. And it is unlimited IL. So as a conservative player, I just took Royce Lewis, who's somebody that Joe, like I won the MEQ. I'm going to the main event. I actually parlayed that. I'm going to play in the Champions League.
Okay.
There is almost a 0% chance Royce Lewis is on any of those teams.
Yeah,
maybe on the 12th team. Maybe on the 12th team, same idea. Shrunken pool, shoot the upside with the hope you could compensate with replacement value.
Yeah,
that I don't know how bankable it is. So, like, this is the league that I want Royce Lewis. Plus, there isn't thousands of dollars on it, but he could really move the needle. Gosh, for everything, right? He's got the type of first round talent. We're just afraid of the injuries.
Yeah, I took a bit of a risk myself with my last pick. I took Tyler Glasnow. I took him as my SP2. I already had Gosman. What do you think of that? Is that too risky for you?
Well, I think the obvious bugaboo is in an innings pitched league.
Yeah.
His main bugaboo is innings pitched. That said, Joe, I don't think we're that good at predicting innings pitched. I think it's one of those things that, like, the projections always go under. Yeah, okay, so it's bet of the under on everybody, and you'll hit more than you lose, but that's not the game that we're playing. Yeah. So I think, I don't know, man. I don't buy into a lot of this, like, innings management stuff. I feel like guys are healthy and they pitch, or they're not healthy and they don't pitch. And very rarely do we have the luxury of, like, oh yeah, he's gonna pitch 50 innings and we're gonna ease him and he's gonna come back and he's gonna be fine. Who gets to do that? Can you even think of players who are like, oh man, thank goodness, we predicted that innings pitched management and nailed it. A lot of times it's not really the case, man.
Yeah.
If Glasnow was healthy, I'm sorry, there's nothing anyone can tell me that says he can't get to 160 innings, right? And 160 Glasnow innings is a first round kind of guy, right? He could be this. I don't know if he could win the Cy Young in $160. But he's going to be in the conversation as the best pitcher in the game. And that's what you're asking for, right? Again, you shoot the upside, you're going to get all the strikeouts. I think on a per inning basis, he's just about as good as anybody.
I wouldn't want him as my SP1, but the reason I took him is because I already had Gosman, and I'm okay with having him as an SP2. But I do need to start thinking about outfield because I think there's only maybe 3 or 4 teams that don't have an outfielder. And this 5 outfielder league, they are going to go quick.
You know what I wanted to look at? Again, we talk about Glasnow in terms of innings pitched, which I don't think is necessarily wrong. But this league is not an innings pitched on the season league. It's an innings per start league, right? That's truly what it is, because you're not starting Glasnow when he's hurt. So you're interested in the amount of innings you're going to get every time you roll him out, right? That's really at the key of this. So you bring up Glasnow last year too. He's a boss, man. He's awesome. 11 out of 21, he went at least 6 innings. 4 of those, he went 7. 3 of those were money starts. I don't know if you're familiar with what my money start is. 7 innings minimum, 2 earned runs maximum. Yeah, so, like, listen, Glasnow is awesome.
I think it's a good point that, let's say he only throws 140 innings, you get to have somebody else throw the other, whatever, 60 or some odd innings. So it's not
Yeah,
like you're taking a zero. It's you're getting that plus whatever replacement level value is.
yeah.
And
The
if you're
real
getting,
worry would be younger guys that might only go 5. So like that's where, as much as we're talking about guys who are still on the board, whatever. Yuri Perez, I think pound for pound, Yuri Perez is as good as legit anybody. Like he's literally, if I
yeah,
needed to win one game or get 3 outs, he might be the guy I go to. That said, I think he could get to the season load, but I don't think they're going to get there by letting him go 7. So like the difference where Glasnow is a premium guy with 7 innings in him. Yuri makes me feel like if there's any chance of them pulling him at 5, I think they're going to look to do that.
yeah, I think you're right. I've drafted Yuri once this year in a DC, and his price started going down immediately after. And I probably, if I did the DC a week later, could have had him as a full round later. I think it's just strictly worries about the workload. Is it going to be 120 innings? Is it going to be 150, 100? Like, what do you think is the upper max for Yuri Perez? Is it 160?
Yes. Which
Something like that?
again, is a phenomenal. Like if you can promise me 160, I'm going to push him up around and make sure I have him in 100% of leagues. The problem is, are we going to get there? And you know what, Joe? This is perfect. I know people want to hear all the picks, but let's do the round. Yelich, Garcia, Bichette, Machado, Noah Jones, Bellinger, Justin Steele. I was kind of hoping Jones was going to fold me, but sure. What was I saying? The upper crust for Perez. And how the news gets in the way. They said something about managing his innings. Dude, getting him to 160 is managing his innings. It's also 30 freaking starts. Like, I just think we haven't had news, so like we're dying for it, and it comes in, and we like feel like we need to react to every little thing. There's people like myself that are doing rankings. It's hard not to, these things are fluid in nature to just start shifting stuff around, dog.
Yeah.
The worry for Perez is different from Glasnow, even though, like I said, I think we have them both around 150 to 160. Glasnow could pitch the whole way. You know what I mean? Like we eliminate these things where he could, if he goes 32 starts, you could get $185 from him, and he's the Cy Young. It's not out of the question.
I don't know if the Dodgers are going to push him so much, at least early on, and then as the season makes its way into the summer, they'll want him to be throwing 6 or 7 innings probably down the stretch to get him ready for the postseason. I still think we're probably going to see at least 130, 140 at least, and even 140 Glasnow innings is probably at worst the top 10 starting pitcher. So I wouldn't really want him as my number 1 starter, but considering unlimited IL, considering I already had Gausman, I'm pretty happy with Glasnow there. But I do need to start thinking about outfield and some other categories as well.
Man, Abrams is like calling my name. I know his OBP was trash last year, but it wasn't through his minor league career. And like you get in trouble with that too, right? Like I said, you look at the most recent thing and it automatically expect last year's OBP is not necessarily predictive. It's not going to guarantee this year's. Mm-hmm. Pitcher. Steele, Fried, Snell, Luzardo, that kind of clump is starting to get peeled off. I feel pretty confident in my pitching. The Wheeler start is pretty good. Maybe I do need to add one with other people going and let the hitters kind of come to me. I really like Rodriguez, so I think if Grayson makes it to 3 picks, I'm going to go with Grayson. And if not, man, I don't know. You see the big OBP on O'Neal Cruz. Yeah, it was like 25 at bats. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
he really, really worries me. He really worries me. Well, he did fall, so I'm going to go with Grayson as my number 2. I really like him for a big time breakout this year. Preferably, he's like a 3 starter. But I think you mentioned NFBC. One of the things it's known for, Joe, right, is the kind of helium, the steam that pitchers get towards the end. I think we're seeing a bit of that, actually, right, where pitching runs happen and ADP just goes out the window. Nobody cares, right? That's a good lesson for people that get into NFBC. Like, be ready for people to just completely ignore it. They don't care. They have, right, their plan greater than sign the site ADP.
I have somebody in mind here. I'm hoping DVR leaves him for me.
Imagine if he's listening live. Probably not.
I'm not sure sure if I don't think he is.
All right, don't risk it. Don't risk it.
I'm not going to risk it.
Throw him off the scent. Who don't you like? Who do you think he should take?
I think you should definitely take Evan Carter now.
It's funny. That's another one. He's got those stats that just pop off the page, but it'd be hard not to admit that there's at least a chance for platoon concern. Like they're so stacked, and those numbers are very stark.
Man, I'm just worried about the OBP.
I know. Yeah.
I want to take him, but I probably should.
You're off to a really great. Your offense so far. Joe has gone Freeman and Altuve. Like, man, talk about solid, great build with OBP. The two of us might be chasing some steals together later on.
Okay, this is a bit of a risk, but
yeah, the jazz player, playing the jazz flute. Man, he's awesome, dude. Jazz Chisholm is awesome, and I feel like it's finally reflected in the price. I don't think you're paying for the hope anymore. I think you waited, and you have a guy that could be a top 15 overall kind of hitter.
Yeah, 30-30s in the cards for him.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
But the OBP is also probably 310, 315, 320.
Now, there's something that I'm noticing, which is not mimicking NFBC, and it has to do with the back end of the draft room. So even if we include you, Joe, 6 teams. So we're wrapping up the 5th round, and we've had 6 teams, and there's only 5 total outfielders drafted. Something for you and I to both keep an eye on. If you're deciding about outfielders later, just realize it's probably not coming back to you. That's something I try to be cognizant of even mid-draft. Because if I was in that club, I'd already be thinking about that, worried how I was going to make my 5 outfielders. Ray Flowers doesn't have a single outfielder yet. And he looks really good. Ohtani, Trey Turner, Framber Valdez, Alex Bregman, Joe Ryan.
Sarah doesn't have one either, so she might double tap once it gets back to her. It's a 6-7.
Absolutely. That's another good call, my man. Yeah, another really good call. But same for Towers. I didn't notice the orange. I don't know why the orange blended with there's a few different kind of light shades here.
Yeah, the colors being different doesn't help either. The colors.
Yeah, Tower. How about I didn't even notice it went in the same way because I was confusing the colors a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, F.
But Sarah doesn't have one and Towers has one. So there's going to be a push for outfielders, and I think that's what I was mentioning before. That there's a press to get full-time outfielders. And you mentioned looking ahead. I try not to look too far ahead and have it make me make decisions I'm not totally into, but you should have an idea of how the draft board is going to play out. And I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of overpaying. Man, a lot of my favorite young pitchers just went back to back to back to back. Geez, that was Yuri Perez, Bryce Miller. Then Abrams went with Costas at the turn of the siege. Zach Eflin, Evan Carter, Cole Reagans was the other one I was alluding to. Man, so all the young stud muffins, all those young pitchers are gone now.
Oh man, I really want to do something, but again, I set myself up for a good base of OBP with Freeman and Altuve, but I'm gonna kill it here if I do what I want to do.
I think it's similar to average. I don't think one person's going to destroy you unless
you're right. You're right. Maybe I'm going to make my pick and then.
But at the same token, O'Neal Cruz, baby. I think through 20 PAs, he was still.
I think what we can do sometimes, or what I do sometimes, is you see there's one different category, and then you just only look at that one category, and then we just are only looking at OBP, or we're only looking at whatever, as opposed to still factoring in everything else. So that's kind of a good call. I can sometimes maybe get a little bit too bogged down, and I need to get the OBP because it's an OBP league. When in reality,
it's a standalone. Remember, you could win without a category. It's no overall.
Yeah, no overall. That's right.
You could win without a category, but I do like to stress to people because this is something again I mentioned my own struggles with batting average. I think it extends to ratios in general. Lots of people much smarter than me have done this work. I feel like it's pretty much solidified in the data that ratios are hard to make up for.
Yeah.
So try and get off the good starts if you can. Oh, man. I was talking about Kim, and Ha-Seong Kim really fell back, and that really gets me to steals and stuff that I was looking for. If he gets the good EVP again, I think my pick is made for me. So I'm going to go Kim here. Ha-Seong Kim, come on down. And he's got a ton of eligibility also, which is always fun. Is always helpful.
Eligibility, I mean, at least the top of that lineup is incredible. I can't say much about the bottom of it, but when you're
I
surrounded by
know.
Tatis and Machado, I mean, I think you're probably
You think
okay.
they're done, Joey? I'm kind of having this sneaking suspicion the Padres are going to just take whatever's left. Tommy Pham, Adam Duvall, and all of a sudden you go, oh, wow. Because not to over exaggerate, but like, man, Adam Duvall's a pretty great number 7 hitter, right? I'd love to have Adam Duvall knocking in whoever's left on base, try to pull all those fly balls. He's a pull power god. But right at Pham is out there and he's kind of impactful. He could be a good 5 or 6 guy. So I think I'm hoping that it's funny. There's so much talk. You mentioned Curlin and the Jason at Roster Resource. Man, they do excellent work, right?
Yeah.
But it's impossible to get it right. So I think we also have to keep in mind that like these guys are probably a little too powerful, like in the space. It's the truth, right? Because I have to look at the Padres for the longest time. Matthew Batten was penciled in as like a starter for the Padres. I don't think that's going to happen.
No.
Right now, Jason put Jackson Merrill in. Do you think he could get? I don't think he's.
I don't know. I saw Mike was toying with putting Ferland in or adding him to the 40-man or whatever he was going to do. I don't know if he'll start opening day or anything, but I don't think they'll keep him down for too long either. I'm still kind of torn. And the thing is, with so many free agents unsigned still, there are so many pieces that could still, like, if they sign a couple of, to your point, if they sign Duvall or JD Martinez or whoever, then I don't see Merrill coming up as soon as we maybe hope. Yeah. But I wish these guys would just sign already. I'm so tired of it. And I'm sure they are too at this point. We're going to be March. It's going to be March in a couple of days. But
that's what's happening. That's what's happening is they're saying, by all means, go look for 3 years. And, you're not going to get it when you're ready to take what I got. It's here waiting for you. That's how I assume these things go. Yeah. Right? It's generally about years. Pham probably wants the 2nd year or maybe the 3rd year. Someone is offering either the 1st year or just the 2nd year. The AEV is probably even higher because what we know about these guys are all billionaires. They all make a ridiculous amount of money. And they want to avoid the years that they're okay shelling out an extra couple mil. And again, if you're a guy like Pham, he's done nothing but produce. The guy goes there, he hits for power, he steals bases, he gets it done. But I don't know. Maybe there's more to it.
I don't know how this is going to reflect on Boris, and if this is going to be something that over time people will shy away from him a little bit because maybe he'll be perceived as holding out, being greedy or whatever, and then you end up with a Bellinger getting $80 million when everybody thought it was going to be well over 100. I don't know how much that reflects on Bellinger or Boris or the league itself, but I think that the process is kind of broken.
Yeah, that's what it is with these big mega monster contracts. And remember the guarantee. Yeah. So I have no love for the owners, but you do should, right, if we're trying to understand it, we should do our best to understand it objectively. And that's the problem is it's not like if you get hurt, you get 50% of it. And if you get hurt tomorrow, I got to pay the whole thing. And it's a total bane, so you look to get shorter deals. So you're going to get these games of chicken, unfortunately. Let's see. So Joe, after I went Seiya Suzuki, who I love, Tanner Bybee, who I love, Xander Bogaerts, Christian Walker, Ketel Marte, Spencer Steer, Nolan Arenado. One thing you have to notice, right? What's the most obvious caveat of the draft so far is that we just wrapped up the 6th round. There's not been a single reliever taken.
Yeah, wow, you're right. Not a single one. So I guess we all kind of.
I mentioned punting to you, but since you go after me, I'm thinking about taking Devin Williams if it comes to me, where you could get the, hopefully the 70 innings where you might get 95 strikeouts, you might get the 35, 40 saves. He has a complete lock on the job and you're going to protect ratios again. So just like a thought.
I think this is where people are going to start you might get, I don't know if he'll make it to you just thinking about it because every team has a couple starters. They have the base of their offense down.
Yeah. That's where I was at. And nothing really jumped out to me.
Yeah, I think it might be reliever
really
time.
Jumped out. But, I mean, then the other part of me says I still think there were 6 or 7 really good guys. And even if I started a run, there's maybe a chance that one gets back to me. But having a guy like Williams or I think Edwin Diaz is fine. So for me, it's Diaz or Hader. Gosh, they're so good.
Does Hader worry you at all, just considering the talent around him in that pen?
No, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
No, you don't think Presley?
Right there, how many wins are they going to? How many wins do you think they're going to
get? Within a couple of 100, one up or down.
So come on. We know this goes back to this is like Alex Fast lore. But Alex was one of the first people to do work on reliever consolidation, and the Astros have been that team forever. People, you have to remember, you can't just look at like, well, this guy had 5, this guy had 4. Sometimes it's a third day, and there's just not happening, right? Where your guy is the absolute lockdown closer. Maybe if it was the playoffs, he would go the third day, but they're not going to do that, right? They have hard and fast rules. The Houston Astros use a single closer. In fact, I think they even did the same thing with Neris last year, right? If you're looking for like old guys, he's one of those guys at the very top because it's like an exclusive. It's just how they see it, right? Kind of old school Joe Torre Yankees, where almost formulaic, Joe. You know what I mean? So, no, I'm not too worried. I think Hader's fine. I have him, I think, as my second or third. But people are getting me. I don't know. Other people are trying to worry me about Edwin Diaz. I'm not really worried. He's like one of the best pitchers on earth.
I think we had the draft got paused because I think there was a timeout pick. With Josh Lowe, but we're getting going again now. I think Towers might have had an internet problem, but I think we're good to go. Yeah, I think we are good to go. There was some talk in the chat.
I don't usually look at the actual chat. There's enough stuff going on right now. My brain is melting.
I just saw the thing was paused, so I figured I would check it out. And Chris was having some technical difficulties, but we're back on now. If you're watching on the YouTube side, I'd really appreciate you guys hitting the subscribe button. We have a lot of stuff on our YouTube page, a lot of fun videos that we have planned for the next few weeks as well. But just over the last couple of weeks, we did our starting pitcher rank battle with Eno Saris and Nick Pollock. We have a ton of team previews, mock drafts, real drafts. So just go and check out our preseason 2024 baseball playlist because there's a lot of great stuff over there. You got me really thinking about this whole reliever thing.
I'm taking one, so I'm taking one for sure. I'm hoping. I know I'm 3 picks away, so I'm going to get somebody really, really, really good. I guess if it went Williams Diaz, I'm going to go Hader. So no, I'm taking one of these guys. I am taking one of these guys. One of the things, since we're self-promoting, part of my ranks, like I mentioned, Joe, I kind of start at the top to do detailed write-ups. It's kind of my way to try and connect with the newer players, more novice players, more home league players, right? You and I, we kind of look past first round, second round, whatever. It's easy to kind of look past Devin Williams to Zach Steinhardt, of course. You called it. So I wonder if you think Carlos takes the bait and goes Diaz.
He went Hader.
He goes Hader. All right. So the run is in full. The run is in full effect, Joe.
Yeah.
The run is in full effect. I went Diaz.
Oh man.
Well, they read my mind, and they read my mind. You read their mind.
Is DVR gonna keep it going?
I don't know. Who do you have next? I know Class A is next. He's got a lock, and I know when I did those write-ups, that's what I was talking about. Going through the very top players and seeing that there are differences and stuff. I don't think Class A is as bad as maybe some of the narratives attached to, like he's kind of falling off and all that stuff. I don't know about that. Plus, he's got the lock.
He's not bad at all. I just think the strikeouts suffer a little bit compared to the other top tier of closers.
Yeah, but the guy after him per ADP, I personally have Duvall ahead of him. Like diving into some of these guys with the magnifying glass, they're aliens, man. They are there's a handful of relievers that are ridiculously good. And, give me the inputs, and if they have the role. So Derek Van Riper did not. He went Hunter Green and man, I'd love to talk about that. I mean him have an article coming up at The Athletic. Maybe I have to ask him about Hunter Green. I know that he's got goods, but man, there's a lot of worries with Green. Forget just injuries, half the games in that ballpark with his fly ball rate. He likes to challenge up in the zone. There are definitely concerns with going with a premium pick for Hunter Green. I didn't think Derek was really in a spot where he needed to because he already had Corbin Burns and Joe Musgrove. He's obviously a seasoned veteran. So I'm guaranteed he has a plan, but that's just me. I'm looking for more pitchers that I really, really, really believe in.
All right.
Did we back you into the corner? Good call.
Taking Duran is
another guy like that.
And this is part of the luxury of the saves and holds format. One of the big worries about Duran is, are they going to give him every single save opportunity? In this format, they don't have to for him to be valuable. Those
fantastic pick. He will not be pitching low leverage situations.
Yeah.
Now, again, I don't know if he's really relative, but you and I are just shooting it. A guy like Griffin Jacks, right, is another kind of high leverage guy, the other guy back there. I drafted him in DCs. Then I look back, I'm like, I don't even know what I'm expecting. But yeah, the Twins do mix and match a bit back there.
Riley Green, Emmanuel Clase goes after, and then Dylan Cease. So yeah, quite the closer run. Jeff in the chat here is saying that Eno had Clase projected for the most Ks. I could see lowest whip, but most Ks would surprise me, unless it's a
Oh,
volume.
that's great. I wonder if now I didn't hear this. I wonder if me and Eno were barking at the same tree here. Here, I'll read. Here, I'm gonna just read my quick blurb for my rank. So I got, from a real life standpoint, Class A is as close to a perfect 19 guys you can get. Literally, no one has more saves over the last 2 seasons. For 240 career innings, he's dominated both lefties and righties to a 231 max WOBA, which is like ridiculous. 2 ERA, sub 1 whip, 62% ground ball, less than a half a home run per 9. That said, we have to slot him at the bottom of the closer tier because of the lower projected strikeout totals. He's never struck out more than 77 batters in a year, mind you. Let's see, the slider is filthy, but the hypercutter approach features a pitch that isn't generating whips the way it used to. I put, even with some improvement, I still cap near. Oh, see, I regressed him back. I positively regressed him up to like over 28%. So yeah, if you think he's going to get the innings, okay, I can see where it gets the Ks. Although I don't think on a per inning basis he's as good as some of those other guys, but still. That turn was a little bit odd for me. Jeff went Torkelson. You know, he's got the prospect love. Then it went Sonny Gray and Bassett to Siege on the turn, which is telling me like pitching is starting to get sketchy. Because I like Sonny Gray, but I'm not crazy about Bassett.
Yeah. I'm still surprised that more outfielders haven't gone off the board, to be honest with you.
Me too. You know, I have 2 outfielders already, and I do not feel secure.
Yeah, I have just the one right now. And I can tell you, I definitely don't feel secure.
No, how could you? How could you? How could you?
I have an idea of who I want.
Yeah, the OBP is starting to dry up out there, you know?
Shit. Okay. Oh, shit. Okay, this is the first pick I don't really like that much, but...
Okay. A little bit of a bounce back there. I forget what he was saying, something about he was feeling healthy or was through some injuries and stuff last year. Yeah, I mean, listen, I think there's a good case to be made for both sides. Like, he's one of those guys, he's an excellent ball player. We know the father time thing, and it's just like a matter of time of when that happens.
I like that he doesn't
say it's this year. Wow, DVR went with Justin Verlander in front of me, which is a little bit of a surprise because, again, I'm kind of looking at maybe more like outfielders. Because I was looking at, you have a while to go again, so I don't know if he'd be back. I was kind of looking at maybe somebody like Ian Happ.
Okay.
Boring, kind of oatmeal-y, right?
Yeah, but those picks are what win you championships.
Yeah, I know. He's always a good OBP guy because he's got a very good approach, and I like the lineup and where he's hitting and stuff. Just want to see if I missed anybody. I really don't have much offense. Like, I have no corners, so I got to check corners. Yeah, well, that last 10 seconds is kind of annoying. I won't let that happen again. I won't let that happen again, I promise. Yeah, so I would have, just building from balance. Just building from balance. Wow, Carlos Mercado went with Mullins after me. I wonder what your thoughts are, Joe. There are, right, even if you do a ton of drafts, you can only diversify so much, and you have to understand where your points of failure might be. One of mine might be the Orioles, which is funny because they're a very good team. But outside of just a handful of guys, I worry about all the ancillary pieces. I have some legitimate worry about. You think I'm over my skis with the Orioles? Am I taking it too far?
Well, I think they were, they performed to the 95th percentile last year. I think it would be reasonable to expect some regression. But you also have to factor in their core is all 22 and 23. So along with that regression, there will be some natural development that probably happens for Rutschman, for Henderson, for literally the entire damn team is 25 years old. So there are risks. There are definitely risks, right? I don't know if they are going to be able to be a 100-win team every single year now, and that's just who they are. And I think part of that is maybe Gunnar was overperforming a little bit. Gunnar's somebody that worries me. Cedric Mullins isn't really one of them, though. I think Cedric Mullins is a great buy at price, especially if he does end up leading off. I was talking with Curlin about it yesterday. Mullins in the 2 spring training games has led off both of them. And if he is, that's kind of been a concern. If he's going to bat 6th or 7th, is there really going to be that much juice? But as a leadoff hitter in front of Rutschman, in front of Henderson, or maybe he's batting 2nd, I think where he's generally going, NFBC, 140, I really like Mullins, but I do have concerns about the team as a whole. I definitely hear you there. I don't think they're a 100
I'm
win
worried
team.
about the youngsters knocking on the door, right? Because
Yeah.
we're getting whispers that Heston Kerstad might make the squad.
Yeah.
Colton Cowser is lurking around out there. And you mentioned these guys are all 21 to 23 years old with like immensely bright futures and prospect pedigree and stuff.
Yeah.
We've also seen Mullins be relegated to a platoon role in the past, where he struggled, becomes a non-hitter. I just think there's a bit of a downside for this part of the draft.
The last time that we were on a show together was when I did the trade deadline show last year with Jeff and Frank Stanfill and Marty Tallman. It was a great panel. And one of the main discussion points was, why aren't the Orioles trading some of these prospects and going and getting an SP1? And they got Corbin Burns without really having to even trade a lot of those top tier prospects. So good on them. But they still have a lot to work with. And I think they should probably, especially with the Bradish news, be looking at Snell, Montgomery, trading for somebody, just anything. I think they will need some upgrades at some point. As good as Cole Irvin is looking, I don't think you can rely on Cole Irvin for for that much, really, especially in the American League East.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's totally fair.
Sarah still has 0 outfielders.
Wow, I wonder. She must have
She's got to have a plan.
I mean, she must have a pocket that she really feels strongly about. Or I think that was the first one right there.
Just like Friedel, yeah.
Yeah, Friedel. Okay, so that one. After I went, and Marcano went Mullins, and went Short Murphy, Mitch Keller, Yandy Diaz. Oh, Yanier Diaz, not Yandy. Yanier Diaz with Houston, who I would have really liked. He's my favorite catcher target this season. Yeah. Like universal format. He's like the guy I really like. I think he could finish as the C1, even if he doesn't steal bases.
Yeah. As long as they don't mess around with the playing time, as long as he's playing 125, 130 games.
Who's behind? There's somebody like non-consequential they brought in behind him. They moved on from Maldonado. They went to Victor Caratini.
That's what.
Yeah, that's like 2 days a week. You know what I mean? So I think we're talking serious line share out of Diaz. Also, the Astros are very, very deliberate. And they showed us that with Maldonado. Like you know what? Even though you could easily have said, "Oh, they have a big focus on offense." Well, not that one spot, right? They didn't care about that. He was probably like one of the worst everyday hitters in the major leagues for
awful.
Yeah, for 2 or 3 years running, he's not like well below replacement level. But it goes to show you, right? They're a winning team with World Series that find value in that. I don't think they would have walked away from him unless they felt very confident. So yeah, like highest recommendation for Yanier Diaz. Now I'm like, oh, catchers are already starting to like get kind of yucky. The OBPs are all gross. I mean, just punt the hell and look to figure it out all the time. Duran with the tower. So he went 3 outfielders in a row after starting with Soto, Josh Lau, Castellanos, and Jared Duran. See, like
what he did.
That's a nice little center stack right there.
Yeah.
August backed up Yanier Diaz with Francisco Alvarez, so his catchers are secure. Oh baby, let's go.
I've taken a bit of a risky team here. Glass now, Chisholm, and O'Neill Cruz. I think I might have to secure some safe bats here.
Yeah, I'm starting to look at corners. It's funny, you forget that Paredes, even without the average, he gets on because his approach is pretty good.
Yeah.
So I think if he falls, I need a first baseman. I think I'm going to go with Isaac Paredes. He's first and third eligible, and that'll actually open the door for me. I have Royce Lewis at third, but right, whenever you have Royce Lewis, having plan B, C, D, and E probably not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Don't go Paredes. I think that's it for the first baseman for me. I'm going to have to look somewhere else. I still do not have a shortstop, which is not the best look either, man. We're I really like. Funny, I like the Volpe Adames Estrada tier in Roto, and not so much. Right, not so much in OBP. Volpe could sink you, right? Those. Yeah. You mentioned that low OBP. We got to be careful going under 300. Like guys that might go under 300 is pretty bad. All right, so Paredes fell, so that's where I'm going to go. And then you figure it never hurts to get some power. If he's top third, we'll get some counting stats. He's kind of a fun player. He's also, Joe, do you have a take on it was probably around the same time, right? I hate to be like, I was first, or this guy was first, or he copied me, or whatever. DiPietro is the dub pull hitter for a reason, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, the industry really started to smell that, right? Like we all kind of caught the scent of the pulled fly ball stuff. I made sure I added it to my data sheets, which come with the ranks, because you just can't find that stuff everywhere. And pulled data, man, especially elevating the ball, it's so important. So I was wondering if are you into this stuff? Do you think are we on the mark? Like I just like to poll sharp people because I've definitely made it a centerpiece of my work. Especially when looking for power or trying to validate projections, I'm looking at not just pull rate and not just pull fly ball rate again, not just be like totally shamelessly promoting my stuff, but a guy like Paredes, right? Well, he falls into that category because he's got the 47 fly ball, 54 pull. But he had 134 pulled fly ball line drives. 134. 30 of his home runs came from that. So it was funny because people are saying, Joe, oh, everything's pulled. It's all these balls. Like, how can you repeat that? Well, in fact, another one of the numbers I run. So I run the total pulled fly balls. I supply pulled fly ball per plate appearance. How many home runs were pulled? And then what percentage of your home runs were pulled and what percentage of those were home runs. So he only converted 22% is pulled fly balls is Isaac Paredes. So the fact that we've had people saying he can't repeat that because they're all pulled, I have like a direct counter, which is I don't think his 30, he ran cold, in fact. Like if he runs hot on the same approach, he's a 35 to 38 home run guy.
You guys definitely get more into the weeds than I do with it for sure. And I think that's because you guys are probably smarter than I am. I've been trying to expand my entire process for evaluating players this year, specifically with pitching, talking with guys like Eno and Nick and just picking their brain. There's so much still that I haven't even scratched the surface of. And a lot of it does come on the pitching side, but there are also things like pulled fly balls. I look at the StatCast data, but I can't say that I incorporate it into my process as much as I should. I'll be honest. It's something that I do factor in to some extent, but compared to guys like you and Rob, I'm definitely behind in that sense. I just don't.
I'm going to get you access. I'm going to give you access to my data sheets. It's not the rank stuff that I can't I can't comp anybody, but the data sheets are my own. I can share with whoever I want. So I'm going to give you free access to the data sheets. I want you to just take a look at it because again, one of the things I pride myself on, Joe, is taking a lot of information from a lot of different places and putting it in one place, right? Like, listen, I can't compare with Chamberlain's data or like, Anderson's data. That's different. You need to go, right? You're splitting, you're searching. Mine is like, if you're in a draft room, I don't think there's a better tool because it's all in one spot. You just control FM and it's all attached. Like I have your basic stats all compartmentalized, but I have a specialized pull fly ball section, that X projections, just split data like just the meat and potatoes. But I have really found that pull stuff, man, it really matters. It really matters. And I think it's a big reason why I won last year because it was the power, all my undersold power, like the guys that were not big hulking barrel guys were getting there because they have pull approaches. So around that wrap, everybody, while Joe decides, it was Nimmo, Andre Jimenez, Teoscar Hernandez, Soler, who's outfield NUT. I was like, he has red because he's, I guess, dual. Garver, Moreno, Siegeman, dual catchers. Munoz, Edouard Julien, if you're digging the accent. Estorio Ruiz, he's on like my no draft list. Sal Perez, and then Merrill Kelly. Derek Riper's up, and then myself. I hadn't really looked. Let's see. So I still need a shortstop. I mean, I may just like suck it up and go Estrada and do the double thing again. That's kind of where I'm leaning. You have a take? You're not going for a while. I was going to ask you about. He went with Zach Geloff, Darren Fran Riper, who I like. I like Geloff too. All right, so I'm looking at Estrada right now, but I'm just gonna, just take a quick look at the top of the outfielder board, make sure. Oh man. No, I am going to pass. I'm going to go with my guy. I didn't realize my guy was still floating here. And I'm going to chase the spring training home run and go with James Outman.
I love
I really like him. You know, he's very toolsy. I think his defense is good enough to keep him in there all the time. I actually like Outman. I think, again, another one of those things, you know, what we got last year, people think that's it, where I think he could build off it. I also like Joe, and this is a little subjective, but I like that, not that he stunk for a little while, but I like that he got up off the mat. I really like that, meaning – so when I do my writing with rookies, I often talk about trajectory, right? Because we're trying to look forward, the whole moving averages thing, whatever. So Outman came out of the box, razor sharp. He looked fantastic, hot as hell. Then he goes in the tank. And sometimes we have rookie seasons that end with the young man in the tank. And that can be worrisome because we were, you know, what was going on that maybe wasn't seeing, or something in the head, or a certain style of pitch. So that was the case with Outman. And again, when you have the backing of one of the best analytical departments, right, that we can believe in the Dodgers finding improvements and then players maximizing. And I feel like Outman did just that. I think he's going to be awesome. Like, I think he's going to have an awesome year. And I know, again, it's spring training and it's stupid. The home run was off the lefty. I think he might have only hit one all last year off the lefty. You know, always encouraging to see guys who worried about split stuff doing work in spring, could at least earn them early plate appearances, I'm hoping.
It's tricky for a lot of people, I think, for the average person to know what to care about in spring training, because you'll see some schmo hit 4 home runs and you'll want to draft him. You know, so remember at the beginning of last year when Trace Thompson had that 3 home run game for the Dodgers and everybody collectively lost their minds, and I saw in a lot of Yahoo, everybody was kind of thinking, oh, well, maybe there's something. I think we need to look, not you, but I think the world needs to generally look more at the exit velocities and things of that nature, as opposed to just this guy hit a home run today. Dig a little bit deeper in the spring training data. You know, the pitcher struck out 4 today. Does that matter so much? Well, his velocity was up too. Okay, now it matters a little bit. You know, like there's tells sometimes if a guy's, you know, coming in 3 or 4 miles lower than he was last year at this time, it's a concern. But in terms of the actual stat lines, I try and block out as much of it as possible this time of year, and just go right to StatCast for the most part. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. I ignore spring training like almost absolutely. I kind of let other people do the work for me, not to sound rude about it, but it's part of my filtration process, right? I know there are people out there grinding it, so I don't feel like I need to grind it. Yeah. But then you should just follow Curlin, follow Fangraphs, you know, see what these people are saying, see what sharp people are saying, and then make your own determination if you think it's over the skis or not. You know, Mullins, like you mentioned, Mullins is a good example of something that we want to keep an eye on. Listen, if he's leading off every day through the spring, that's something, right? That could be something. Again, my worries with Mullins is not out of the gate. It's more we've seen the floor and they have these other players waiting. Again, it's more of an Orioles thing that I worry about. But yeah, when it comes to chasing these outputs, Joe, is it almost always a mistake? It's like always a mistake. I have a hard time thinking of, oh man, thank goodness I chased that spring training hype. Woohoo! It almost is never the case.
Yeah, it's very rare. Like, was Jeffrey Springs somebody, like one case last year where it did kind of work out?
I was early on that, so maybe I didn't feel that sting.
But then did it really even work out for you? You know, if you did take Jeffrey Springs, it probably would have, and it was just kind of bad luck. If you had raised pitchers,
so good. I had him on every single underdog team and was like, I am going to make noise in this tournament. And, you know, you lose a guy like that for the season. It's a very shallow kind of roster. And a lot of my hopes and dreams smashed on that one. Yeah, all of the good catchers are going. So Ohapi and Kybert Ruiz just went, man, you know, 15-team leagues, Joe, you're always going to be short somewhere, right?
Yeah, I don't have a catcher. You don't have a catcher.
I don't catch
him. Towers doesn't have a catcher. Most people do have at least one, so we're probably going to have to get a move on here.
Oh, my gosh. It's bad, dude. Oh, my God. It's so bad.
Senga's a risky pick for Towers, but I guess with unlimited IL, you can take a couple.
I don't think that's a small pick. That's a minus EV pick to me. Like, we don't know when he's coming back at all. It's not even like a Bradish where he's throwing and they're encouraged. This is, you know, we've getting news is weeks away, injections.
Yeah.
And there also happen to be a ton of these stash guys this year. Right? Like, I mean, who's like DeGrom and Scherzer, Max Meyer, Shane Baz, right, to name a few.
Yeah,
There
for
are,
sure.
there's just high upside, like late stuff. I don't know. I don't know what your pitching, how good your pitching can be right now. What does his pitching even look like? He's got Luis Castillo and Max Fried. I mean, that's it.
It's a good foundation, but Senga definitely makes it.
Yeah, I mean, you want a third pitcher that's going to pitch for you before. I mean, Joe, realistically, you think we see him in the first half? I'm not sure.
I have no idea. I took him out of my top 100.
Yeah, I dropped him almost off the board. Dude. I've heard from what I understand, the early estimates are June.
Is it that bad? I thought it was maybe a month, 2 months, but
I'm not. I can't go down that road.
My general philosophy is you're going to deal with so many injuries throughout the season anyway. Why start stacking them up in the preseason?
Perfectly put, my friend. Great job.
But I mean, unlimited IL changes the equation a little bit. It definitely does versus NFBC. If it was an NFBC league and Senga's going in this range, it would be insane. I can understand it a little bit more, but still.
Yeah, you're right.
I wouldn't have done it personally, but then again, Chris has been doing this a lot longer than I have.
Wow. I don't know if you were looking at the board. So everybody, I mentioned Ohapi went, Marcell Ozuna, Josh Young, Noelvi Marte, 2 guys that might not start opening day. Santander, Ruiz, Nate Eovaldi, Cody Senga, we mentioned Towers. Camilo Duvall with the Buggers in the 11th round.
Yeah, how did that happen?
Wow, it just happens. Guys fall, they get ignored. Wow, unbelievable value there. He could have gone in the 6th or the 7th with the rest of the really good ones. Joe, you went Bo Naylor. That's a really good pick. I skipped over mine. I went Jonah Heim. I think we both just had to get an everyday catcher.
I had to get a catcher. Naylor's got some speed. The OBP is not bad. I'm behind it.
I think I might like your Naylor pick better than my Heim pick, even though you went after me. I do. I think I might, but you know what happens again, Heim? Putting yourself every day in the middle of the Rangers lineup is a good thing. You know, he's a good hitter.
I don't know. Are they going to play Naylor every single day? I've heard some concerns there a little bit. They brought in, who did they bring in? Hedges? I think it was Hedges.
Yeah, but I mean, he feels like a tutor almost. Yeah. Wow, Raisel Iglesias, man, looking at this board, I'm going to wish I didn't wait. Yeah, I'm going to say I wish I didn't wait because Iglesias in the 11th is not that far apart from my Diaz in the 7th. Like, I'd rather have Iglesias.
Doval, and Romano all go in the 11th.
Yeah, Doval, Romano. So those 1B kind of guys really fell, and I think those are huge values. Carlos Rodon went off the board. He was a player I had queued.
Wow.
I only have Wheeler, Grayson Rodriguez, and Edwin Diaz. I've got to get some starting pitching.
I've got Gausman, Glass now, and then I backed it up with Merrill Kelly. Our buddy Ryan Bloomfield's in the chat saying what up. Seeing closers go this late has me shook. Oh yeah, it's definitely a change than what we've been used to seeing for sure. But the saves plus holds definitely changes everybody's mentality. Even I think it might change everybody's mentality more so than it changes what the results are going to actually look like. But in any event, closers are getting pushed down too far.
Iglesias went too far. They slid. And look, because I bet people fell into the same thing that we were talking about. You kind of set this binary path. I'm doing this. I'm not doing that. I'm taking one. I told myself without saying it vocally, I'm taking one. I'm not looking for a while.
Yeah.
Not thinking down the road the B1B guys might have been really nice. Although, you know what we're also feeling the pressure of right now, Joe, is late season drafting, right? We're getting to the turn of the calendar to March where everybody's favorite picks are getting pushed up, right? A lot of the value picks are no longer falling. Even if it's a round or 2 or 3, combinations are becoming tough. Man, if anything, that Robert Stevenson pick, the Flowers, really makes you see what kind of value you got in Iglesias. Iglesias should not be going 6 picks from Robert Stevenson, right? Those are 2. We don't even know if Stevenson has the job. Well, I guess you could assume he's going to get the hold role. How many of those are happening for the Angels? I'm not so sure. Derek Van Riper on the clock. I'm on deck. I need a pitcher, man. I was thinking about maybe getting my first Imanaga share. People kind of like him, and again, this is the kind of league I would do that in. Yeah. I'm probably I don't think I would draft at the name without seeing it. He's next to another guy I really like, but I have a ton of exposure to. Somebody I would take in higher stake drafts, which is Bryce Miller.
Okay.
So I'm actually leaning towards the format pick. I hope I like to be clear and vocalized, so I'm not misleading anybody. John, I thought we loved Miller. You took Minaga over him, but it's yeah, I kind of want exposure to him.
That's the problem with guys like us is we play in so many leagues that we might end up contradicting ourselves in a draft room once or twice, and people will say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, I know.
I'm
Well, if I can validate it, then I'm okay with it. Like I'm doing it now, even if it's not the best validation. Is he's a little bit risky. There is a high upside payoff here with a guy who, they paid him, right? He's getting the ball every 5 days, we think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the plunge. I'm gonna take the plunge. Like I said, it's a little out of character for me, but it's out of character because of the format and the pay scale of the league. Another thing you mentioned, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. To the volume point, I do my best to bin these guys, compartmentalize these players to put them in the best spots.
Yeah.
But do you ever find that I don't know how to vocalize this the right way. Last year, so I was doing a ton of volume. I was kind of consolidated around my own players. By the time I got to the end, I was like, I don't want to have only these guys, but they were the guys I wanted the most. Joe, I ended up rolling into my big leagues without a lot of my favorite players.
So you took your shares of your guys in October, November, December.
Yes.
By the time your main events type of tournaments came around, you didn't want to be too exposed. Yeah, it's a problem.
And a lot of them are good picks, and the price moved. Right, so they're more expensive, and I'm already exposed. But you got to get into the big leagues with your best guys, right? You got to bring, your best stuff. Got to bring the fastball. This reminds me of a quote I heard on Waxman's podcast. He had Gable on, which is funny. Gable's not even what we call like an industry guy, but he is a well-known high stakes player. If you're listening, James, hat tip to you. And he was talking. Jack was pressing him about this, and he said, "I just take my guys." He said, "You ever go to a bar and order a watered-down drink?" He said, "I don't." And I was like, dude, that's really good, man.
Good, yeah.
Plus, he was kind of also making the point that these teams, they may share a couple core pieces. The rest are very dissimilar.
Yeah.
And that might be the thing that gets you to the finish line, right? So draft your guy. This year, I'm doing that. This year, I'm kind of drafting my guys. Again, not to totally contradict myself, but this league is free. It does have the IL. It has, outs that I'm not afforded at NFBC, and I'm just trying to take advantage.
I think it's really a case-by-case thing for me, and it depends on where.
Dude, Bednar! What? David
still...
Bednar was out there?
Yeah, wow. He went after Matt Brash. He went after Stevenson. That's a little wild. That's a little wild to me.
Wow, Brian,
look at Jeff Bogus.
That's an ADP battle I've seen. I'm on the other side of consensus. I like Bryce Miller better than I like Wood.
Jeff Bogus here waits till around 11 and 12 to get his first two relievers, and he ends up with Doval and Bednar.
So we're stupid. We're stupid. He's smart, and we're stupid.
Yeah, that's pretty much. Yeah.
Wow. You know what? You got to be willing to admit these things, right? And again, it's not over. Oh, it's not fair. None of that. It's just looking back in hindsight, I'm already kicking myself.
Yeah,
he got guys that I have ranked with my guy. Like, dude, David Bednar is another one of those guys I mentioned. Getting out the magnifying glass, looking at the stuff, really going through it, plus the grip on the roll. David Bednar is a top 5 closer.
Oh my God, Towers! I just queued up Ryan Helsley, and Towers just took him from me.
That's another good piece, man. He's got great stuff. I worry about the injuries, but again, you can't get too into that stuff right now. I don't think that's how you do it. Bogus really nailed it, dude. The fact that he got Diaz and Alvarez could catch Doval and Bednar relievers, he kind of sealed up those uncertain places in the dam. Right, he kind of put the buttress there. He shored him up nicely. So I think Jeff did a really great job. Jeff's doing a great job.
Yeah, his team.
We're in the 13th round. I'm still without a shortstop. Most fantasy analysts would probably tell you you're playing with fire there. There is one guy I have my eye on that I was kind of hoping would fall. I'm playing a little bit of chicken with.
It's always fun to play chicken with yourself. There's one guy that I'm kind of looking at for third base. That's is he going to be there? I don't know how long he's going to be there for, but that's part of the fun, right? That's part of the fun of all this is waiting to see if you can wait on the guy or there's so many different ways that I have fun in the fantasy baseball world, whether it's drafting, interacting with people, setting line. Like there's just so many different fun things. And one of them is just kind of seeing if you're going to almost snipe yourself in a way. I'm going to wait one extra round and then somebody else is going to snipe you, but you're essentially shooting yourself in the foot in some of these cases. And I think we'll see what happens here. It's a fluid thought. A draft is a fluid thought. You never get stuck down.
Another one, Clegg, you son of a gun. Freaking Clegg, man.
He took Bryce Miller. He took Bryce Miller.
I just love him too much to hate him. Yeah, a lot of the guys I was looking at just got clipped. So like Evan Phillips, I was hoping he might fall. That's a fantastic RB2. I really like Michael King. And then I also like Bryce Miller. And now they're both gone, and I'm feeling kind of blech right now. When you have players queued up that you're excited about drafting.
Yeah, I have a couple.
I may actually go with my guy that I wrote up today. He just came out in The Athletic this morning. My buy low, but I mean, it feels like a reach. But geez, I need pitching too, and a shortstop. Yuck, this is ugly. Well, if Marcano doesn't go Tyro, I'm gonna go Tyro and just get my double guy again and just kind of keep it moving. Right, top third of the lineup, double home runs, double digit steals. Just get enough, hopefully, to make it work.
Yeah, I have a couple relievers in mind if I don't get sniped.
Christopher Morel, good pick from Carlos.
Morel. I can't get behind Morel, man. I'm just not. I don't know. Am I crazy? I don't know if there's gonna be a regular role for him in the field. I think he's probably better in OBP, but I don't know.
That's interesting. So you weren't buying it? Like that was one of the very few things they very clearly stated. They're like, Morel's playing every day.
You think that's gonna stick?
I mean, he's really good. I mean, he's the pop, no?
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm off. I don't think he's that great. I just don't think he's. I think it's just power. I think it's just straight power, and there's a role for that, but he can't play defense. The steals are. I don't know how much speed he really has.
Yeah, I mean, he had 6 last year. I think you project like 4 or 5 probably.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just look at it too much from a fantasy point of view, but even from a real life point of view, I don't know how valuable he is necessarily.
DVR went with Sawinski. I know he's a favorite late outfielder for a lot of people. DVR only has 2 outfielders. Wow, that was his second outfielder in the 13th. I have 4 already.
I've
had 4.
Yeah. You got a couple good early ones, and then Hap Outman. You got a really nice OBP base with your outfielders.
Yeah, that's where I'm at, and I get power and steals from everybody. Again, my outlook this year, I feel like is becoming pretty apparent in the draft. Like if you just look at the roster, you're like, all right, there's tons of pull power, then there's double. Like that's kind of my checklist.
Yeah.
I'm looking for balance, top third of the lineup, and with complementing with pull power. That's kind of been my overarching kind of theme. Starting to get a little dicey here. Chris Bryant to Ray Flowers. I guess he could be good again. He burned me so many times. Not that means it's going to happen again, but
we've never seen a full season in Coors of Chris Bryant. It's tempting, the
thought of it. Have we seen a full month? It's like it feels like that.
Yeah.
And he's coming back. He was coming back a week away. Pods goes Luis Arias, OBP monster, of course.
Rise, Quan, you're lacking power, but he does have Torkelson and Raleigh, so he's probably okay there.
Right, Torque, Raleigh, Trout, Soler. He went that route.
Yeah,
right. He kind of went to the extremes.
The opposite ends.
They get it done. But right, he has like the prototypical on base guys, and then like the off base. He's the off base and on base.
Jeff Ponce goes for Jackson Holiday here in round 14.
He loves him young.
Yeah.
Although, it's funny, for a prospect guy, he didn't really, I was tongue-in-cheek with Bobby Witt. Bobby Witt at 14 is amazing. So, Jeff, hasn't, for a prospect guy, doesn't really have a ton of prospects. And like, listen, Holiday in the 14th, you're taking a risk. But I mentioned shortstop is Blair right now.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone. It's who do we have? Who's the top of the board at shortstop? Tommy Edman.
Tommy Edman is hurt, and then it's Crawford, Tovar, Correa, Pena, Nato. They're starters, but they're mad.
What happened to Tommy Edman? Oh, his wrist. I didn't see that.
Yeah. Also, I think his leadoff days are over, right? You got to calculate that in. So I think not only he might not start opening day if he's banged up, and we're looking at a suboptimal lineup placement. A couple chips stacked against him right now.
Oh, so this was just yesterday he got hurt. I didn't see this.
No, it's been out for a while. Well, unless something happened again.
Well, Marmol said yesterday Remains without a timeline.
Yeah, so it's referring to the same injury we've been talking about. Yeah. I wouldn't touch Edman right now.
Justin Turner.
So that went a little over-reliable. So it went risky. Jackson Churio, Jackson Holiday, Byron Buxton, all the risk. Then Ryan McMahon and Justin Turner for a couple scoops of vanilla ice cream. Listen, I've kind of passed on both those guys. I've drafted them both in the past looking for vanilla. I don't know if they're my type anymore. Joey's on the clock.
I'm going to go right now. And I'm going to go for an OBP darling.
Yeah, Yoshida, sure. It's funny. He's getting shortchanged, I think, because it feels like a bit of a letdown, right? Because they brought him in and thought maybe he was going to be something he's not, which happens sometimes with import players. But he's good, right? He's an everyday. He's above average, everyday kind of guy.
Top of the order, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And for all of the shifting the Red Sox have talked about, they've talked about him playing like he's going to DH. They said, which again is a little disappointing. I don't think if they knew that, maybe they would have made the move to bring in a guy who's not going to play defense for them every day.
That's fair.
But what do we care? We don't care. Who cares?
Well, I'll care.
They have a couple guys that could fall, right? They have a couple. The Red Sox feel like they have a couple guys that could bottom out. All right, so Derek Van Ripen with Clay Holmes.
Clay Holmes was still there too in the 14th. Wow.
Yeah. Well, as a Yankee fan, I'm really not high on Holmes. I'll be honest.
No. Okay.
I listen. He's pretty good, but the role is not necessarily secure. And the Yankees have a couple of guys behind him that I think pound for pound are better than he is. Okay. Right, so there's like a little DC hint for people. Like I think Canely and Hamilton are both more trustworthy than Holmes.
Okay.
So I don't get me wrong. I think Holmes gets the first save opportunities, right? I don't want to misframe it. All right, I'm on the clock with just a couple seconds, sweating it out, baby. Ugh, I need corners. I need middles. There ain't not a nothing. So, all right, I'm going to go with Brian Bayo. I kind of like Bayo to maybe break out this year.
I like Bayo.
Red Sox brought in Kyle Boddy from Driveline fame, right?
Yeah.
Driveline. He and I also have like a slight offline relationship. I've just DM'd with him before.
You and Kyle?
Yeah, Kyle. So when the Red Sox started having their pressers, they mentioned Bayo, and they not to give away the whole article, but the idea with Bayo is he really suffered from lefty-righty splits, like truly stark lefty-righty splits. Those are guys we got to be careful of. So he's no good. Where if he tweaks that, he could be good. And he was just throwing the fastball too much, I think. Throwing the sinker fastball combo too much to lefties with awful results, which, again, I don't know why teams do this, but they did. And I thought it was funny that the Red Sox announced he'd be throwing the slider more. And the next day they announced, they had brought Kyle Boddy on. So I DM'd him. I was like, I don't believe in coincidences, Kyle. And it linked the thing, and he put the eyeball emojis. I'm sure he's not that I would never repeat anything, but he's probably got to be careful about what he's talking about. But yeah, I got eyeball emojis. And I was like, yeah, I feel really good about Brian Bayo. I feel really good about Bayo because his off-speed stuff is very good, right? The changeup is sick. It's sick. I just don't know why he's leading chin first with the fastball. I think if he could just maybe pitch backwards to lefties a little bit, he could really benefit. And if Bayo figures out the lefty stuff, woo, he's gonna be great, man.
Yeah, well, his first outing of the spring was against a pretty complete Braves lineup: Acuna, Riley, Albies, the whole works, and a couple of scoreless innings. So, and I don't read too much into it, but
right,
better than getting rocked.
Yeah, right. Agree. Right, it's funny. One of the right, isn't it funny, Joe? So we should you just ignore it, bro. Just ignore it. Just freaking ignore it. We'll probably piss off some people, though, if you're listening at this point, bless your heart. So I've even chased spring training velo and gotten totally stung by that also.
Yeah.
I have found if you do a lot of work on these on player profiles and stuff, go with your work. You look for injuries, go with your work. Mm-hmm. Also, I noticed as I'm writing, speaking of injuries, I must have guys. It was like, but he got hurt, and we thought he was done for. Max Fried was somebody, right? 4 on straight. This guy's cooked, man. And he was great. He was great down the stretch. Oh, there's a couple other people too that were like, oh, this guy's toast. Like 1,000% toast. I would never touch him. And they're fine. It happens. Wheeler, the year Wheeler had shoulder fatigue to come into the year. He was my SP1 overall. Like, oh my God, forget this. Run. He was great.
Wasn't it Gallon too a couple of years ago? Was Gallon as well?
Oh, Gallon had a forearm.
Something with Gallon, and he was fine.
Joe, I remember that because they told us, no. It's the good forearm injury. It's the good forearm. He had the good forearm injury. And I was like, oh, what a relief. Knock him down 100 spots, you know.
Good forearm injury.
And he was fine. But it was true. It was, again, I don't understand that. I don't want to pretend to know more than I do. Wherever the strain of the pitch happens, it was on the other side. They were like, it's not. Listen, you never want forearm injuries, but it's not the forearm tendon or whatever it was. But still, we were like, we're out. And he was fine. You know, injury stuff is very easy to say, oh, you know, don't draft injured guys or whatever. It's not always that simple because navigating injuries is a great way to find edge, you know?
Yeah, I forget who said it. I think it was Eno who's done some reporting. A few people. We're terrible at predicting injuries. You know, we think we're good at it, but we're actually not at all.
Yeah.
It's very hard. It's almost impossible. If something's going to pop up, we don't know. You know, we can say that Eloy is unlikely to play 130 games or whoever, but you know, Luis Robert last year coming into the season always had the injury prone tag, and then he plays 140 games.
Yep.
Christian Yelich always had the injury prone tag in the last couple of years, 140, 150 games, and now he's no longer. Now he's safe. And it's like, we don't know. We really don't know.
Yep, you're right. No, you're 100% right. I actually wrote about that. It was football. It was a football article, but I called it the McCaffrey principle. Right? The guy who could be the number one player overall that can't stay healthy when they do. Sometimes they hold on to that. Wheeler was like that, if you remember. Wheeler could never stay healthy. Now he only goes 200 innings. Yeah. Marcus Stroman could only go 200 innings until he got hurt.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez could never go 100 innings until he went. Now 2 in a row. So, like, who was right? You know what I mean? Who was right? You got to –
If Glasnow –
I think, for me, the answer is the price, right, is – don't pay the premium and avoid the huge loss because the payoff is always tremendous, right? The payoff is tremendous.
If Glasnow throws 160 or 170 innings this year, then probably next year no one will talk about him as injury prone. And the same thing with a guy like Zach Eflin, who's the main concern that people have with Eflin is, he's got a long injury history. But if he has another healthy year, then we kind of just ignore that. But in reality, is he actually any safer, or has he just had a safe year? And like, how predictive is that going forward? Not really that predictive at all. So it's kind of a mess, and that's why, you know, I'll shy away from the injury prone guys more so than I'll take them. But we don't really know at the end of the day. Jazz Chisholm could play 155 games this year, and the guys that we perceive to be safe could get hurt on opening day. Like we just have no idea. So don't ignore the injury risks, but I think they might be overblown a little bit to some extent as well.
Yeah, and listen. It's
love that brand.
Again, I think there is something. I think there is something to not inviting injuries. I don't. So for all the stuff that I said, it's not like ignore the injuries. I think you're correct. Not inviting too many of them.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't mean you can't do it at all. And when you do, you should just price reflect on it properly. You know, to me, that, like I said, that's the thing that really, really, really matters, right? That as long as you're not paying all the way up for it and keeping the format in line, I think it's all good. Because that's, like you said, we're not only bad at predicting, we're bad at predicting returns. We're bad at predicting performance upon returns. Yeah. And like, think about those guys I mentioned, hitting on Wheeler, hitting on Lopez. Those were like the league winners. Those were, I know there's no single league winning picks in fantasy baseball, but those were winning picks, right? Those were correct picks.
Yeah. It's very tricky to figure out.
So this round, Truss went with Ke'Bryan Hayes, who I love this year. Love Ke'Bryan Hayes. We started to see the pull tendency and the lift tendency come in the second half. They also, it was funny, Rosenthal reported that he wasn't happy with the hitting program in Pittsburgh, and he secretly went to meet with his Double-A hitting coach, the guy from Otuna or whatever, and they got great results as Ke'Bryan Hayes. So then a bunch of pitchers went. Nestor Cortez, Walker Buehler, Giolito, McKenzie, all these guys are kind of flawed and frail. I went with Brandon Pfaadt. I mentioned trajectories earlier. I think the Pfaadt trajectory is what we're looking for. Highly touted prospect, overvalued, overdrafted, gets promoted and disappoints, gets another shot, makes an adjustment, looks great. but drafters see the overall ERA are discouraged. I think I think might have thrown 170 innings last year or something combined. So he's in line for a full role in a great environment in a good park. So yeah, I really like Brandon Pfaadt also. I got a lot of my young guys.
I like Pfaadt as well. The hype was massive heading into 2023. It's died down a little bit, even though he was really good in the postseason. I don't know if people are remembering that, but he was pretty damn good.
Sick. Come on, man. He shoved, bro.
Yeah, he was fantastic. I took Junior Caminero. I took a little bit of a risk there.
Okay. Opening day, you think?
I'm hoping for opening day, but I don't know for sure. He's looked good so far. A good OBP projection, 20 and 10 type of guy, and I might back him up with somebody else here just to be sure. But let's see. It's a risky pick. It's a bit of a risky pick, but
yeah, I think it's risky because you can't IL him, right? So he's a bench bat, but that's okay too. You know what I mean? Like if you didn't overload on any of that kind of risk, so I don't think it's bad. I'm not trying to knock it because there is a place for this stuff. There's a time and a place. 15th round, if you're getting a guy really that good. Again, I'm not a prospect guy. I kind of outsource my prospect work.
Yeah,
the book on him is unbelievable, man. You know, people that I really look up to and trust really think he's going to be a difference maker.
Oh man, the catcher situation left is
reading my mind, brother. Don't take my guy. I got one of two, so I think I'm safe. I knew it. That's okay.
I took your guy.
Still friends. Although, they both went. I didn't see Camposano went and Jeffers went. Those were the two guys I wanted. I am in the. Oh my gosh, it happened. Joe, it happened. No, the most unenviable position of taking a catcher that you want to play. I'm not going to do it, so I'm going to just deal with that at a later time and date. You know, it is what it is. Jeffers didn't get to me. I kind of messed up, and such is life. Let's see.
It happens.
Yeah. These things happen. Man, kind of looking at Vaughn, but the OBP is a little worrisome. I guess there's a lot of similar. You know what? I'm going to go with my man JP Crawford at middle infield. He's always a good OBP guy, and he was a driveline guy also. And some people kind of scoff at it. I like Rob DiPietro's take on driveline. You shouldn't blindly draft guys that went to driveline. You also shouldn't be laughing at it, and some people do that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, look at driveline tweet, dude. So hold on, mate. So are we really demeaning the value of the best hitters in the world going to one of the best biomechanical training facilities that there is that has shown the ability to transform hitters, right? Not every time. And so this is Crawford. Check it out. Crawford it was so out of character that I think people just kind of dispel it. But there was a lot there. J.B. Crawford, the approach is phenomenal. 5% came on his BB, 22% chase last year, 90% zone contact. I mean, and Joe, guess what? Why doesn't he have to hit the ball that hard? Because Crawford took on a elevated pull approach. 14% pull fly ball per PA, does 15 of his home runs, my man, 89 pull fly ball events for J.P. Crawford. So, again, you don't say, oh, he's a 30 home run guy. But, yeah, he's hitting 15 home runs. He's hitting 15. And if you're going to get on base, top of the lineup, you should get your runs and stuff like that. I actually tend to like the Mariners lineup, though. J.P. Crawford is the definition of vanilla. But he's a guy that I don't think you ever sit him, right? You kind of plug him in and walk away.
I took him 23rd round of a Gladiator last year, last pick, and it was beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dude,
one of my favorite picks.
How did you do in that league? Did you do well in that league?
I came third or fourth.
It's hard.
That was a league where I did a couple Gladiators. That one, Judge fell a little bit. I had Woodruff on that team, so that was kind of it was good while he had him, but I didn't get the volume I wanted out of him. It was okay. It was not a bad team. I had Lane Thomas. There were positives, but there was also, I'm trying to think of a negative. Was that Lance Lynn on that? It might have been Lance Lynn on that team. So I got a lot of volume, but it was god awful volume at the same time. And you want volume on a Gladiator. You want volume on a Gladiator, but not that type of volume.
Yeah. Right. Oh my god, dude! I'm only laughing because all you could do was just laugh through that pain. And it was brutal. It was brutal. The Manoa and Lance Lynn ride last year was
Manoa, my God.
really,
Rodon,
really
too.
brutal.
Rodon, if you had any Rodon shares.
Yeah, well, that was a big loss for me. He was one of my. I had him as a top 3 SP coming in the year. I meant to mention we were talking about trying to predict injuries, and it's funny because you had some people with, but he has a track record, but he had pitched up a year and a half straight. He didn't miss a start. I think he went 45 consecutive starts with like Cy Young stuff for 33 of them at the end. I mean, if the guy finishes the season healthy, throwing his velocity, that's where the injuries guys lose me, Joe. When it's like, wait, so what? You knew then so no one's ever healthy, right? Is that just what we're to take from these people?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, I'm not saying if you finish healthy, you're healthy, but I was working off that premise a little bit. And yeah, the Correa stuff didn't work. Not that that's why, but it's just difficult. It's very difficult.
I don't know what to make of Correa anymore.
I'm worried about Correa, man. I really am.
16th round, I don't think is terrible.
Yeah,
but
I don't think he'll kill you.
I just don't have any interest.
The money's there. He's going to play every day. And again, you worry about injuries, so you have an IL spot. So this is the league, again, to take him. But, man, tell me they're not already regretting that contract. I don't believe it.
I don't know if I would take him over Vaughn Grissom and went a few picks later.
Yeah, I mean, the Steelers are so nice, too. Again, I don't know what we're going to get from Grissom, but the upside is certainly tasty.
The ballpark, he's going to be second and short.
You know what's funny? I need one outfielder, and this is what I was worried about. The outfield situation is brutal right now. Clegg went with Anthony Rizzo, one of my favorite CI picks later on.
I like Rizzo a lot, too. Outfield, to your point.
That's why I was hoping it was going to fall to me. Clegg has kind of been a thorn in my side a little bit, man. When I was talking about passing on, a lot of similar CIs, Rizzo was like the guy I had in mind. So now I'm going to drop back this even further, and I'm playing games, man. Oh, yeah. My C2 situation is over. Gosh, I need a CI. I need an outfielder. I need a second reliever.
I didn't see that Christopher Sanchez had gone. I wish I.
He was under RP.
Yeah, he hid from us. Okay. Let's see the old queue. Yeah, the queue could be better. At this point, though, you're going to be struggling a little bit. We're making a pretty good pace through this draft, though. We're already in round.
We're flying, actually. We're flying.
Round 17. I did an auction stream the other night with Bloom, and it was like 4 hours. And we're through 15 rounds. I was like, okay, we're going to shut this down. This is too much.
So bad. Yeah, that happens sometimes, right? Where it just kind of drags and stuff. All right, I'm going to go with one more of my young pitching guys. The winged line, Canning. These are all like I have a total my guy draft as far as pitching goes.
Yeah, you took him. He was going to be my next pick, probably.
Griffin, yeah, there's not many guys that I'm circling for impact pitching. Uncle Ted in the chat says Cutter Crawford better than Brian Bayo. Yeah, I might even give you that. My thing is, I think they're both good.
And then Savali goes right after the two pitchers I had in my queue gone.
Oh, Cy Volley, man. He was phenomenal. Again, I mentioned, right, organizational boosts. He gets the boost from Tampa. It showed. We've had people talk about his workload. Again, I just don't think they're holding on to these guys. I see it differently. I think if he's healthy, he's going to give you 5 to 6 innings every single time out. So I like the Savali pick also. Yeah, the pitching, everything's getting, right? We're in the 17th round of a 15-teamer. That's when the pinch starts to happen, where everybody's kind of flawed.
There's nothing great left.
I know. Hard to get excited about any of this.
Man, it's not great, but I think I'm going to go Jonathan India.
Okay.
I like the only thing I don't like is I don't know how much he's going to play necessarily, but a little bit of power, a little bit of speed, the on base is there. I think they'll still find a place for him, and if they don't, he'll trade him. Like, I don't think he's going to be somebody that ends up as a part-time player, but I don't know. I could be wrong there.
Well, funny enough, if he's healthy and he's playing opening day, he's going to be one of those guys that we just mispriced. As the fantasy community is kind of written in the off as the odd man out, we don't necessarily know that's true. We just don't know that's true. I mentioned the Orioles in the log jam. I'm I'm not saying I'm not off the Reds, but I'm kind of off the Reds. Because it's I was mentioning this with Bubba, that it's entirely possible that like everybody's just a 5.5 day a week guy. Everybody platoons everywhere.
Yeah.
They have multiple players for every single position. And then with a guy like Spencer Steer, he could play absolutely just everywhere. So those Reds they worry me. But man, Bradish finally went. Andrew Abbott, who I like. That was Tyler Rogers and Ryan Presley went back to back to Siege, who had Alexis Diaz. So he got his third reliever. I would say the way we mentioned how it's IP and not wins, where a reliever can get you wins, and they're not going to get you IP. I don't think you need to leave the draft at 3.
You're probably right. I think. Well, how many wins does the average reliever end up throughout the season? 3 or 4?
Yeah, but some guys break out. And it's the same idea like you were saying with holds and saves. The wins and the saves go hand in hand. High leverage situations. I think was it Clase? Did Clase have 9 wins?
And
again, it's like you could ask that to repeat, but he's in the scenario to do so. But the point is, you can't get the win now, right? So where a closer could have had an option to get you another category, now they can't. I just don't really see the value.
Yeah, I mean,
you went to Will Benson, to Matt C. I gotta admit, that's another Red that I just don't see getting everyday playing time. And it might speak to the press for playing time in the outfield, which is something I was talking about addressing earlier on. That's funny. I had 4 early. Maybe I didn't take my 5th one early enough because I'm like not too happy with what's out there. The guys that I like are really flawed. Nelson Velasquez. I mean, these guys are really flawed. This is just ugly.
I like Velasquez could be a massive power guy, but that on base is going to be rough.
Yeah, that's a major problem. No, I don't want to go there. Like I said, I mentioned avoiding the total 6. Because then you need multiple batting average guys to get you up. Also, I played in this league last year. I mentioned struggles with ratios. I didn't have OBP, and I suffered. Boy, did I suffer, and I couldn't catch up. Oh, good pick. Kyle Harrison, another one of the really exciting young pitchers that I like, Joe. That's a really good pick.
Yeah,
Derek Van Riper went with Shane Baz, his injury stash. Man, I'm down to this is like the nitty gritty of the outfielders. But I'm going to go Parker Meadows. I think we're talking about an everyday role. Could be a double guy.
Yeah.
He's been okay OBP wise. We'll see.
Is that your outfield completed now?
That's my completed outfield. Yeah.
Okay.
But I am really, really curious how some of the other people are attacking this.
Oh, there goes DeGrom.
Well, right. When Baz went, Baz and Scherzer. Oh, it was actually Scherzer, so forgive me. So, excuse me. Scherzer in the 18th year triggered the stashes.
Yep. And
Scherzer, DeGrom, 3 of 5 picks.
I just want to take a quick second here. We got a special guest joining the live stream. It's our good friend, Justin Mason. How you doing today, man?
I know him.
How you guys doing?
We're having fun. This is going pretty quickly, this draft, but it has been it's been a damn fun time so far. John, you like your team so far?
Yeah, I really like my team. I'm having a hard time getting over the reliever market here. So, Jason, this is saves and holds. Mm-hmm. So we expected relievers to get pushed down. We hit the 7th round. I said to Joe, maybe it's time to start looking at Devin Williams and guys like that, which was the case. People went relievers in the 7th. But what we didn't calculate for just was like the 1B relievers fell multiple rounds. So where I got, Edwin Diaz in the 7th, Raisel Iglesias went in like the 11th. Yeah. Bednar went like the 12th and the 13th. And that is a score. That's a score.
Fairbanks.
So I feel 14th. Like those teams have a leg up on us.
Fairbanks went in the 14th, Helsley in the 13th. I got Tanner Scott in the 13th. Ugh.
Yeah, not worth 6 rounds for Diaz. Listen, and I made the wrong pick, and I have to kind of eat it. That's a loss for me. And again, it's not over, but man, we definitely left something on there. Because Bednar is just not that far from all the other elite closers.
Yeah. In a save hold league, I pretty much push all those guys down quite far.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get holds off of the wire that it's just not worth really. I mean, the nice thing about the elite saves guys like Diaz, you get the strikeouts, right?
Right.
But you can find those strikeouts still with elite setup guys. So I can understand why that happened.
Yeah, I got you. Also, I was mentioning to Joe, it's not wins, it's innings pitched.
Mm-hmm.
That also takes a little away from relievers. That at least when you rolled it out there, there were two pathways to success.
Yep.
Without that, you're not getting many innings from them. So I don't think I would start a third reliever unless I was really chasing saves and holds or trying to really. I think I'm with you, especially with there being $0 bids. Yeah. I'm okay if that's a deficiency that I have.
Yeah, you can stream that. You can stream that later on if you need it.
Or you can trade for it probably
those
pretty
guys
easily.
Started to go. A few of them went Hector Neris went and Tyler Rogers went. So some of the better hold guys already started disappearing.
Justin, what do you think here? You see the board in front of you. Just scroll up to the top here. Anything stand out in terms of any team builds or any players going earlier or later than you would have expected, even with the different rules?
This is on base percentage as well, right?
On base percentage.
Yeah.
No, nothing too crazy. Corbin Carroll going at the end of the first round.
Yeah.
Feels like a pretty nice steal.
Yeah. Well,
I do love that start for CJ Kaltenbach, Carroll, Olsen, but I don't love that his first two starting pitchers are Peralta and Gilbert, though I do like Gilbert a lot more than most.
You're not in on Peralta?
I worry about the downside. In a 15-team league, like what I'm drafting for is relative safety early. And so I tend to stay away from, guys like Peralta, guys like, Yordan. I understand why he goes in the middle of the first round on base percentage league. I'm not drafting him there. Aaron Judge, not drafting him in the middle of the first round, even though, if you just plug in the numbers, he probably belongs there. It's just too much risk for me.
Really, Jeff? The injuries I've heard you say that on the podcast.
Yeah, he's just a guy who gets injured, and I'm looking for like Freddie Freeman at pick 10 to me feels like just an absolute bargain.
Ryan Noda just went. That was crazy. Damn.
I like Noda. Noda.
Me too. But I think it's out of spot. He went before Vaughn, Lowe, Drury.
That's a little crazy. That's a little wild. There's still some actually pretty good names on the board. It's different when you've been doing so many NFBC drafts and you see certain names that are still there. Like, even Kenley Jansen is still there at almost pick 300. It's just kind of wild. Just after I've done 10 NFBC drafts this year, so it is definitely just a big adjustment being in the Fantrax room. It's the first draft I've done this year that's not NFBC, so it's a little bit intimidating, honestly.
Yeah, Kenley has a little bit of worry about the lat right now, right? Not that they said it's been disastrous at all, but there's definitely worry about his availability. And I guess that's been it. I mean, he's worth taking. I think it's worth taking a shot now, especially if he would open up on the IL. You have the unlimited IL spots.
I'm going to take a Giant here as we have our resident Giant expert in the room. I'm going to go Lamont Wade.
Late night.
Good OBP, middle of the order. Needed to fill the corner spot.
You think he plays every day?
No.
I'm not sure if he's an everyday player. Justin, you think he's an everyday player?
No, he'll platoon. But strong side. So,
yeah.
That's almost every day.
Projected for a 352 OBP, 17 homers. I have a lot of speed, so I'm okay with that. My speed is kind of risky speed, though. I've gone with kind of the Ricky Bobby build here with Jazz Chisholm and O'Neal Cruz.
That's a lot of risk in that speed right there.
Oh, dude,
it's a lot of risk.
I had that pair on my home league, points league last year, and we were done for it. Yeah, we were done.
Yeah,
a lot of risk on your whole team. Like
for me,
yeah. I mean, I love your first three picks, but Glasnow scares the crap out of me.
Yeah,
Chisholm, Cruz, Springer, Bo Naylor, Hunter Brown, Yoshida, Caminero.
Too risky for you?
Yeah, it's a little bit too risky for me. I really like what Zach Steinhorn is doing. Kyle Tucker, Devers, Logan Webb, Nico Horner, Brian Reynolds, Tanner Bybee, Devin Williams. Though, like you said, taking the elite closer early might have been a little bit of a mistake. But I love every single one of his picks up until we get to the 13th, 14th, 15th. He put together a really solid start to his draft.
Yeah, I definitely leaned into the more risky build, and I think the reason for that is because I've just been so safe in my drafts this year. This is my first Glass Now share. This is my first O'Neal Cruz, I believe. I wanted to take a team where I would be a fun team as well as a team that had a lot of upside, and I might have leaned into that a little bit too much.
Yeah, I think it's just the compounding of it that I would have a problem with. The only nice thing that makes it kind of worth the risk is Tout Wars, unlike most leagues you're ever going to find, has unlimited IL spots. And so you're never going to run into a point in which, I have too many of my guys on the IL at the same time, I got to drop somebody. So that is a nice thing. So I think you can kind of take a couple more gambles than maybe you normally would. I just don't love compounding them all that early because it's your fourth, your fifth, your sixth, your eighth, are all kind of risks.
Yeah, you're right.
Everything.
I don't know if I'd put Springer in the same bucket as those other guys. He's still risky, but I don't know if you think he's as risky as the Chisholms of the world?
I don't think he's as risky to miss the whole season, but I mean he's always banged up, right? And last year was one of the first years in a while where he hasn't. And I love George Springer. I'm a George Springer guy, I always have been. But yeah, don't love it. Not gonna lie to you, Joe. I'm not gonna come on here and just fluff you. I gotta tell you the truth. Let's look at John's team. Judge.
I had the Judge, right? I had the Judge.
Yeah. I love Wheeler. Robert, I'm not you. You did the same thing, Judge. Robert, Royce Lewis. But man, your pitching is pretty fucking fun. Oh my god.
Yeah,
Zach
I should.
Wheeler,
I'm hoping I'm good there.
Yeah, Imanaga was a guy I wasn't super in on until Potapalooza, and then talking with Nick Pollock and Eric Smolsky, they kind of turned me around on him a little bit. And
Jason, I want to ask you, Justin, I want to ask you a question about that.
Yeah.
So, right, we're having more import players coming, but it's also happening at the same time that we have StatCast and Hawkeye and TrackMan, whatever the hell these things are.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes for what I'm seeing, or at least the proof being in the pudding of teams being willing to invest. It seems like our understanding of the transition might be a little more seamless. Granted, something you talk about all the time, culture change, food change, traveling, time zones, very difficult and not to be undersold. But I feel like our translation of stuff and how the actual pitching is going to move, I feel like we're getting better at that now. So when people are saying, I trust this because it's movement and things that we can equate, IVB and break, movement, velocity and stuff, I've been more willing to buy into it. Now, granted, I have not gotten a Yamamoto where it's going because it's such a premium.
Yeah.
But to hear Eno say he thinks he's going to start as a top 5 SP in the league is something, man.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm willing to buy that quite as much as maybe Eno or other people in the industry. And probably the reason I'm not going to have Yamamoto anywhere this year is and probably not a lot of Imanaga as well, but Imanaga is going quite a bit cheaper. Is just I don't know how they're going to translate. It's such a it's a different game, right? We've seen plenty of guys who go over to Korea, go over to Japan, and are fantastic, and then come back and they might be good. But
but how about this? Look at Senga last year.
Mm-hmm.
It took him a long time to get to where we needed. But then once he got there, you believed in it. So isn't it? That's what I'm worried about. Where it's not. I'm not disagreeing with all the smart people. I'm just worried that the changes might take longer to stick than we need them to in a fantasy league where you took him in the top 30 overall, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, we really can't afford for him to struggle through June.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these teams are not going to push these guys in the same way that they might push another veteran starter. I mean, I know they're all technically rookies, but they're not rookies. Like, right? They are used to workloads, but they're not going to be pushed like I'd be really surprised if Imanaga or Yamamoto got to 160 innings, and I'm not projecting them to get to 160 innings. I don't think it's fair. And I think one of the other things we haven't talked about a lot in the industry is how many of these Japanese and Korean pitchers get injured, right? Like,
and that probably has to do with the translation, right?
Yeah, like, they're pitching on a different schedule. They're throwing a lot. They're throwing more pitches. They're trying to pitch with more velocity. They're, a lot of them have made it through their first year and then got hurt the second year. Senga, Ohtani, but that's not guaranteed that they're gonna get through that first year either. So I just think there's more risk than, especially Yamamoto's ADP suggests.
Yeah, that's tough. He's a really fun underdog pick, Yamamoto. If you hit, like, the idea, like, if he hits and runs with it,
underdog DFS. I'm gonna be playing a lot of Yamamoto in DFS for sure.
Yeah, that's another good one. Yeah,
but this is it's like Hunter Green. I was talking about Hunter Green with Paul on the Sleeper in the Bus yesterday, and I said I'm gonna use Hunter Green all the time in DFS because if he ruins my night, oh well, that's one night. Yeah. But I don't want him to ruin my season. Like, and so if Yamamoto was going in like the 7th or 8th round, and I can get him as my number 2 or my number 3, I'd feel pretty good about it. But by the time we get to like main event drafts in March, he's going to be like a 3rd round pick. Like, I can't do that.
He went early 3rd in my TGFBI league. He might have been 2-3 turn. Might have been 2-3 turn.
And he might be going in the 2nd round if he continues to just shove. Like, he might go in the 2nd round.
Well, in that Korea series, if he's starting one of the games, right? If he goes 7 shutout, he's going in the 2nd round, main event.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, absolutely. You'll see some people take him in the 1st round.
That would be insanity. That would be insane.
If he goes out and throws like 7 scoreless against the Padres in Korea, we'll watch. I don't think he'll go there regularly, but like when we had the Japan series, the Mariners and the A's years ago, there were insane prices on the guy. Domingo Santana like moved up like 4 or 5 rounds. Like there were just insane prices on guys who had big opening series. There was a dude who got a win just randomly. Can't remember who it was, and it was a reliever, and he was like going in the 20th round. Like, he was not going to get drafted in any league had he not gotten that win. But people paid like up 10 rounds just to get one extra win. Like, people will go insane when we have these early series.
These free looks, yeah. As for head-to-head leagues, are those is that gonna count for head-to-head?
I think it depends on your settings.
No, I am in a home league head-to-head. I have taken a very firm stance. It should not count.
I don't think it should either.
Head-to-head is played in a time frame.
Yeah.
Okay, like when there are, and we all know this, and that's why I was surprised that people are even on the other side of this. Like, to me, it's not really an opinion. If you have a head-to-head matchup that's being determined on a Sunday and there is a rain out, you lose. That's it. There's no, I was supposed to, but Justin, I was supposed to get 2 starts. I wanted Monday start. No, you lose. That's it. Yeah. You lose. You don't get the second start.
No.
Wait. Okay. Oh, man. Oh, shoot. I played ADP chicken with my CI, and I got stung in the arse.
I love that Tim Anderson pick. Right.
Damn.
Yeah, that's late for Tim Anderson. 21st round.
Damn.
It's getting to the point where I don't like anybody left on the board, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep, you're in the 20th or 21st round. So
How do you know you're in the 20th round? Oh man, I wanted Drury or Ty France. They've been like my total fallback CIs, and they both went on that like little rap. And Vaughn went, "Oh, I'm screwed." Oh,
You're gonna take the
brutal,
guy I want. I
man.
know you're gonna take the guy I want.
I don't. Even, I may just dump now. I'm gonna take Chapman and vomit. Oh crap, yo. Oh, so brutal. I just booted it one round too long. And there was like nothing. Yeah, Chapman's the only like even half viable guy. I mean, he's better in OBP than he is in average leagues. Oh, that sucked.
A second ago when I said you're gonna take my guy, you took my guy.
But right, you had to be looking at the same kind of group, right? Vaughn or Drury, which is funny. France. I had Noda circled because I really like Rory Noda. He went before all of them. I think Carlos went a little early on.
That's a steal on Chapman right there.
I guess.
I mean, he's gonna sign somewhere, and
you think so? I think so too.
Yeah, he's got it.
He has to. He has to.
So he could be he's a good fit for San Diego then, right? They need a third baseman?
Well, no, they got Machado.
Oh, I forget he's back. I forget.
San Francisco. He could be
in,
He could be in San Francisco. I think Toronto should re-sign him. Like, they really like going in with their infield right now. Like, obviously you've got Bichette and you've got Vladdy, but they should be. They should.
Is Manny going to start in the field? He's starting in the field? Do you think?
I don't know if he is, but they've got plenty of guys they can just throw in there for right now. And you're not going to sign Chapman to a 4-year deal or something like that, or a 3-year.
What the hell is Toronto doing at third base right now?
We're doing nothing. We're
Biggio,
kind of Falefa, I think.
Falafel?
Yeah. So, but kind of Falefa looks better at second base if you got Chapman at third, right? Like, so like then you can rotate Schneider and Biggio and kind of Falefa at second and in other places on days off. But Chapman just makes your defense better, and when you're playing on turf like that, you want your defense to be better. So like Chapman just makes too much sense.
It could have been Chapman and Tim Anderson, and it's going to be Connor Falefa and Turner. Like, it's just brutal.
Yeah.
We were talking about something, Joe, before that I want to ask Mason about, and it's because I have felt pretty strongly that 15-team 5 outfield is not deep. Justin and Paul were actually just saying that they thought it was the other day. And again, it's not like it's right or wrong. If you have all you need is a couple guys in the back of your head to do it. But I feel like this board's a good making my point of it. Like by the time we were in round 16, gosh, Starling, Marte, Varsho, Lee, that's the end of the road, man. It gets Benson, Frelick, Rooker. These guys are not even now like Kana and Marsh. Marsh is banged up, and Velasquez. These are very flawed players that might be platoon guys.
But I mean, in a 15-team league, every back end of your roster is all guys that might not be very good. Like, I think the idea that like outfield is that much worse when you can get guys like Avisail Garcia is playing every day.
Oh my God!
And he's not going to get drafted in this,
right?
And probably for good reason. But like, you can still find plate appearances, or you can find high upside lack of plate appearances.
Yeah.
I think what this year is every position has depth, but there are huge drop-offs in every position. And so it's a matter of being able to navigate like, hey, what position do I not like the big drop-offs at the end? And so for me, I don't have a problem with outfield. I really don't. Like for me, shortstop's so good at the top. And then as you start getting towards the back end, you go, well, it's Tim Anderson or bust. Like, and so like in my TGFBI, like I took Lindor in the second round over guys that in prior drafts I'd been drafting in the second round, like Riley and Albies, because I just didn't want to deal with the later end of the draft. Plus I wanted to share of Lindor. But I think figure out what position looks, good to you at the end, and then kind of construct forward from there.
That's good advice.
So you'd rather jump Lindor than Austin Riley? You'd rather take care of shortstop than third base?
There's so many third basemen I like this year.
Yeah.
Like, and like it's let me see. Let me bring up the ADP. I mean, Josh Jung getting hurt, like, kind of sours a little bit of it. But like we're talking about, like, I think Eugenio Suarez is in a really good spot in Arizona. You just took Matt Chapman. Everybody loves Maikel Garcia. Colt Keith. I can never say his name right. He's going, and Michael Bush is still out there. Do I want to have to rely on those guys? No, but I don't mind taking them. And when you get to shortstop, it's just the top 13, 14, 15 are really, really good. But if you don't have your shortstop, do you really want to gamble on a Bryce Terang even making the team? Jordan Lawler's not going to make the team. Ahmed Rosario is probably on a short side of platoon. Orlando Arcia just sucks at hitting. Chris Taylor destroy your batting average. Mason Wynn, or is he even a starter now with Brandon Crawford in town? It's just, there's so many kind of gross guys at the back end for shortstop. So
is Danielle okay after that? After Crawford on the Cardinals?
I mean, I don't know. I think she's pretty sad. That was the last of kind of the big three from the Giants. Playoff days, and Posey and Belt and Crawford. And she was really hoping Crawford was going to retire a Giant. But my brother-in-law is really upset about it. I don't get it. Why do you do something like this? You grew up a Giants fan. You've been a Giant your whole life. The Giants didn't want him. It's what does he have left to prove? I was probably nothing. But maybe he just wants to play. He's been playing baseball since he was 5 years old. He's in his late 30s, he wants to keep playing baseball. It's all he knows. And if the Giants don't want him to play there, then, hey, maybe he just needs to go, play somewhere else.
It just always looks so weird when a guy spends his whole career and then he has 1 year at the end, like the Tony Parker going to the Charlotte Hornets, or I'm a hockey guy, Martin Brodeur, the goalie for the Devils, playing 20 games for the St. Louis Blues at the end of his career. It always just looks a little bit weird. I don't know if Crawford's going to be. You think he'll have any kind of fantasy viability this year?
No, I doubt it.
No.
He's still a very good defensive player, but offensively is just horrible. NL only, dollar days type thing. But outside of that, I don't think so.
John,
you got what are you missing still here?
I'm missing my second catcher. All of whatever second catchers were worth their weight in baseballs just went. And so I'm gonna last round Renee Pinto and Beans, or I'm gonna cry and just deal with it. You know what I mean? If these things happen, I got caught. I got caught.
I like that Renee Pinto and Beans.
Yeah, I got caught, man. I got caught. I was looking at Campusano, Jeffers have been my the eject button guys at the very, very, very end. They went right before me, and it happens. But you look at all these things. People are flawed, and a backup catcher hopefully is the lowest bar to get. Hey, maybe who knows? Maybe Pinto will be decent. We've also had catchers pop up the last couple of years.
I mean it. You have to kind of adjust when you're in an on-base percentage league too, because there are a number of catchers who can walk, right? So you have to kind of readjust. But if I don't end up Campusano, and I think Shane Gallegos is one of my last guys, where I go. If I don't get one of those guys, my C2, I'm just waiting. I'll just whatever. I'll throw a Freddie Furman in there.
That's where I'm at right now, my man.
I'm not going to jump up anybody into the mid 20s just to be oh, I got my catcher. I'll just
right. There are still players that I want on my bench that could move the needle for me.
Absolutely.
Opposed to this pick is shot. That roster space is done. It's done for. There's nothing you can. Now, you make a great point, Josh. People do that. Oh, I tell you, I just took this guy who cannot profit even from a 25th round spot. Is not going to profit for you. Just let it go, man. Just drop it back. Yeah. Take what you can get. It is what it is.
Especially in a league like this where you can roster stashes. When you take the injured players. If I've never been in any of the Tout Wars snake drafts. I've always been in the auctions. But I would be very, very open to hey, my last 5 rounds are all injured guys. Right, I'll just fab new ones, once fab opens. But I'll just load up my last 5. Yeah, I'm just
Same
gonna
thing.
my last 5 guys are gonna be injured guys that I'm just gonna know hey, I'm not gonna get any profit from them right now, but maybe I'll get them later, and I know I can pick up 5 new guys off full hire once Fab.
Yep. I just took Max Meyer for that same reason.
Yep.
Like, why take Freddie Fermin right now? Like, that's absolutely silly to take a backup catcher when, especially with the IL spots, Meyer's going to start an IL, and you're going to stash him, and he's going to be a hot waiver ad at some point this year, more likely than not. So to me, we're very much simpatico on that. Try and max out the profit, when you add the catcher or whatever.
The only other thing that I would do, and obviously you need to know what your league rules are in terms of how this Korea series is going to work. But if your Korea series is a completely different scoring period than the rest, load up on those guys, right? Yeah. Load up on Padres and Dodgers relievers, and maybe you luck into a save or a win or something like that. Obviously, there's no saves wins here. The saves hold, so maybe you load up on a bunch of relievers from those games, knowing that you're going to drop them, right after that series. But since it's a different scoring period, and I don't know if it is for this or not, but if it's a different scoring period, then you're going to drop all those guys and you go pick up new guys.
Yeah. I really agree with you, John, that should not be a thing. I don't think that should even be an option for people. It's either you got to roll it into the first head-to-head week or exclude it altogether, I think.
Yeah, I heard the argument maybe for Roto, and I guess
for Roto, you can't exclude it, but
they should be included in the season stats.
Yeah, it's got to be, for sure.
Yeah, but I thought it's funny because I did catch blowback. I felt like my rain delay example or pushback example, or is what happens. So I felt like that was a good analogy. But you guys have probably both been a commissioner, and it's very hard to satisfy everyone.
I hate it. You're never going to satisfy everyone.
Yeah, I try, man. We try so hard, go out of our way. And you know what? Some of that is what pushes our league to be so progressive. We're always changing rules and making stuff up that is very customized, that everyone feels like, we're playing a fair game. But it's... Joe said, what risk? Goes John Means.
That's a Mason guy. I know Justin's going to approve because that's a Justin guy right there.
I love John Means, dude. I haven't done his projection. He's one of my next to do, but pre-projection, I just he's just been good. He just hasn't been healthy, and now he's gonna be behind a little bit. But again, one of these guys you can throw in your IL and Tout Wars since you have unlimited IL and be okay.
Yeah, around 24.
Oh my gosh, when you're mad someone took Jay Cronenworth, it's late in the draft, man. You've been playing fantasy baseball too long at that point.
Well, I got my whole starting lineup filled up now. It's just about the reserves, the backups. I think if there's any pick that really surprised me in this whole draft, it was Chris Towers going for Kodai Senga in the 11th round.
Yeah, I saw that. That's a ballsy freaking play. I
really liked it.
Good for me to know because I'm pretty sure Chris Towers is in my labor auction next week, or next weekend, or this weekend, I guess. Really next weekend.
So you're NL or mixed?
I'm in mixed.
Okay.
So I think I don't know who's in my labor draft. I should probably actually figure that out.
It was hard to keep track of who was in this league because there were so many additions and subtractions. It was initially going to be Todd Zola, and then he traded himself for DVR, and then there was a couple other switches.
I'm not sure if I got my Q pick or the pick I tried to get it at the last second. I have a blank spot to mine.
They paused it. Let me see. Let me refresh.
Apparently it's not. Apparently Chris is not in my labor draft. He must be in AL or NL. Well, bummer.
They sent a message.
All right, that's okay. That's weird. It paused. I had a player in my queue.
They sent a message to you in the.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
All right. See, well, there's a format thing. I'm used to. If you time out, I thought the queued player would go in.
Yeah, is that not what happened?
No, that's not what happened. It froze.
Is Todd gonna reverse it or something?
Okay, yeah, he got it. So,
Refresh.
they have to it like timed out, and maybe he has to like manually.
Manually put it in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they probably
there we go.
have it set up where it just skips your pick, and then he's got to manually go back.
Yeah, but all right. Well, as long as no one else, I guess, as long as no one else grabs it, it's in the chat. But that was Eric Emmett Sheehan.
He put it in there. I see it.
Oh, okay, cool.
I
Yeah,
wish
again,
Jamie
Sheehan.
Sheen-
I don't know, weird. He kind of got pushed out. The Dodgers brought in all these guys in, but when Bueller didn't look like he's going to start the season, I would think Sheehan. Maybe
Yeah,
because,
Sheehan should be the 5, and then Michael Grove will be the 6.
yeah, and maybe some of the worry, Mason, is that there aren't enough games to get a fifth starter, a full lot in the beginning.
Everybody in that rotation has injury problems, though.
Yeah,
I mean,
but he's also a good bench guy, right? It's a good bench guy to have. Yeah,
I like that pick. That's a good.
yeah. I think I feel like if he gets the nod, I want to start him.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's one of those guys where, like, yeah, maybe he might be on the outside looking in once Bueller does come back and is ready. But by the time Bueller comes back, like, maybe Glasnow's hurt. Maybe a guy like James Paxton, who's always hurt, is hurt. So, like, not
is he really gonna go?
Like, so, like, is Yamamoto even healthy by that time? Like, in how many times have we said, oh, this guy's gonna be back in May? And then it's like middle of August and they're still not back. So like Bueller, like I'm not touching Bueller this year. Like I just he scares the crap out of me.
Right.
I already drafted him once, and it was the only time I drafted him was in a Gladiator as my SP2. So fun times there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I honestly, I think when they initially said that he was hurt or he was behind, they announced it on like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day or something, and I completely missed it. I completely missed it for like 3 weeks.
It was a big red flag for me when he didn't come back at all last year. Like that was like I was like, oh, okay, that's scary.
But then after a 6-month layoff, how is he still not ready?
Yeah, exactly. Well, like if a guy doesn't finish the year on the mound, I rarely will draft them. Like I don't want to touch them if they did not finish the year on the mound the previous year.
That's fair. I just figured after what was the last time he pitched? Like August of 22, something like that.
It's a long time. Like he's had plenty of time to recover, but like I think we take for granted that like that's a really serious surgery. Like that's like it's.
True.
I think the success rate has been so amazing that we go, oh, everybody comes back from it. Not everybody comes back from it. Like it's just so. All right, guys, I'm going to run because I actually have some actual work to do. But good luck with the rest of your guys' drafts. Hope one of you guys takes it down.
I hope so.
Have
you ever played on Roto? Have you played this website?
Yes. Yeah, I've been in Tout Wars for
4
or 5 years.
I have to redeem myself. I had some technical difficulties. Me and the website did not get along well.
On Roto cost me the championship in my first ever Tout Wars league.
What? Just problems executing and stuff, or
could not figure out how to pick up a minor leaguer.
Yeah. I hear you, brother.
And Juan Soto came up.
Ugh.
I would have put like, $40-$50 on him, and he went for $14 to somebody. And that was the difference. It was a head-to-head league. I think I finished in third place. Like if I had gotten Juan Soto, like he would have carried me to a championship. And it was quite a bummer. I'm much more adapt to it now, but Joe may not understand this reference, but I think that because he's a little bit younger than you and I, but John should. The website was built by GeoCities.
Oh, okay. I've called it Commodore 64.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. Playing Commando and Tapper on Commodore 64.
Why did they use on Roto? Why don't they use NFBC or something or Fantrax or what? I know we're drafting on Fantrax, but why do they still use it?
I think just because that's where it's been forever. And then the other guys that run it, and everybody complains about it. I don't know if and when they're ever going to change it. I hope they do at some point. I mean, it is very customizable. So I understand it a little bit. They can, but Fantrax is really customizable too. And I don't love the Fantrax platform in general, but
I don't either.
I'll take it over on Roto any day. I mean, for me, like, yeah, why don't you guys put on NFBC? NFBC can. The problem with NFBC, I think they can't run a league like this, right? I don't think they have a setup for innings and saves holds and stuff like that. So I think that is probably stopping them from doing NFBC. Plus, I'm sure all the stuff that happened in the NFBC.
Like, why don't we play on Fantrax?
I think you guys should, but not up to me.
I know.
Right?
Same here.
So, I would much rather play on Fantrax. I'm in the mixed auction, which is just a standard 15-team league. And we could play on NFBC. We could play on Fantrax. We could play on ESPN. I'd rather do that. So, but is what it is. I love Tout Wars. It was such an honor to get invited to my first year years ago, and I go back to New York every single year for it. So I'm really looking forward to being there in like 2.5 weeks. Actually, I think I leave 2 weeks from 2 weeks from tomorrow. Take off for New York, and this week take off for my first year in labor. So I'm looking forward to that as well.
That's awesome, man. I really appreciate you coming on. Make sure you guys are checking out Justin's work on Twitter at Justin Mason FWFB, Sleeper in the Bust, at Friends with Fantasy Benefits. What am I missing here? Fantasy Pros.
Yeah, Fantasy Pros now too. Just all over the place. Finally starting to get healthy after I was sick all through Potapalooza, and yesterday I was just crashed. Even took a nap this morning. That's why I showed up so late. I saw you send the message. I was like, I'm gonna lay down for an hour. I gotta take a nap. But I was doing pitching projections till 2-3 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
So I'm 100 starting pitchers deep already, and I still have another 80 to 100 to go. So
it's a fun time of year. Fun time of year for sure. But I appreciate you coming on, man. I know you're busy as all hell right now, so it's great to talk with you again. We just saw each other on the weekend, but it's always great catching up, man.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys. Look forward to catching up again on another podcast, or maybe in person one of these days soon. Okay.
I hope so.
Well, you'll have to deal with me in the fall, but I'm sure we'll talk before then.
Absolutely.
All right,
take care, guys.
You take care.
Okay. You're on the clock, Joey.
Justin Mason, everybody. He almost makes me time out here, my good friend Justin Mason, but no, it's not on Justin, of course. Who do we have left in our queue here? There's not a hell of a
not
lot.
much, bro.
Not a hell of a lot.
No.
Okay, let's take a shot here on somebody who has horrible OBP. It's the first horrible OBP pick.
He was still out there for so long, Jose Siri, man. He's toolsy. You might need that.
Yeah, power, speed. I think he's probably gonna have a regular role versus righties versus lefties. I don't mind it for a reserve round pick. I think I could do worse.
Right, I agree.
Listen,
man, they let this guy. If they let him lose, it's power and speed, and you need that.
I really wanted LeMahieu in the last round. Jeff Bogus again with a late dime in round 25, a guy who's probably going to lead off for the Yankees.
I know. And, dude, I'm a tremendous Yankee fan, so I cannot stand LeMahieu. The whole thing. I didn't like it when it happened. Then he was okay. I just never didn't feel like it. I don't know. I felt like we were paying for the downside, and you need more pop. And I don't know. He's like a glue type of player, right? I guess it's okay. I just don't see him as a leadoff guy. Not that you're wrong, because I think that's where he'll be.
That's what Curlin has projected, and that's what Jason has projected as well. So, I mean, I got to defer to those guys. You say
I don't think you're wrong. I
outsource playing time for sure. I don't do that myself. And everybody right now thinks he'll lead off. I don't think he necessarily should lead off. I think, honestly, the best leadoff hitter there might be Soto, just based on how often he's going to get on base. But I don't really. Right. I think he'll be probably the number 2 guy.
Amazing that Volpe was leading off at points with a sub 300 OBP.
It's
I
not.
get, it was the first time we've ever seen the Yankees really kind of roll a rookie into the ground.
Yeah.
It's funny. They were like, well, you guys want us to play the rookies, right? They were like, you want us, right? Don't you want us to? Because we would always say, as Yankee fans, where are the young kids? Everyone else has rookies. They're all prospects. Why don't we have prospects? We never have, we never grow anybody anymore. It's been 20 years or whatever. And they're like, okay, here you go. Here you go. You want more Oswald Cabrera and Oswaldo Peraza? Here you go. Would you like some?
A lot of people liked it, and I liked it too, that they let Volpe kind of figure it out at the big league level and didn't just send him down right away. It's good now he's got that
What do you
experience.
think about him for this next year?
The batting average still worries me. A lot of smart people have told me that they think he's closer to a 240, 250 guy than a 200, 210 guy. I think he's probably like 230, 240. The thing that I worry about a little bit is people are saying, well, 2020 is the floor for him now. Well, that was playing every single game of the season. If there's any wiggle room on, like, what if he plays 140? Then is he a 16 and 15 guy? Like, and you can progress as well as a prospect. And there's nothing to say you can't add a couple homers and steals this year. But it was a very volume-based season where he was killing your batting average, not great runs in RBI. If he's still at the bottom of the order, I don't really love him where he's going. He's the top 10 round pick in NFBC leagues. I don't love him, but I know a lot of people
gotten there. Personally, I haven't gotten there. Too many flaws. I worry about it, at the very least, a downgrade to the bottom of the lineup. I feel like there's no certainties, but like I feel strongly he's going to hit in the bottom third.
Yeah.
So there goes your plate appearances, which alludes to what you mentioned, somebody who needs them in order to compile, because we haven't really seen high-end skills yet. I mean, and I like him, and we have to be very careful to analyze what we've seen without saying that's it. Like his career might be phenomenal. And I write this all the time at the Athletic, all the time. MLB's hard. Like, it's really hard. It's really, really, really hard. It's really, really, really hard game that takes a long time for even the best people in the world. And even when you're the best in the world, it's hard to stay the best in the world. The ebb and flow, peaks and valleys. So, like, I mentioned trajectory. He might be great. So it comes down to us as redraft players at the price. And I just think he's a little too expensive with some downside. Again, as a Yankee fan, I hope he is great and breaks out, but they're kind of pushing him out of the front of the lineup, it feels like. Like, I don't think there's room for him.
Not really. And I think, if you're constructing your team when you get to the point where you want to draft Volpe, like, you need to have such a high floor of batting average for me to really, like, if you have a build that's like Freddie Freeman, Corey Seager, and those types, and I can understand it, but I really do worry that he might just be a 230 guy again this year, 220, 230, and he improves, but it doesn't improve to the point where he's actually helping you. And again, prospect growth isn't linear. There's nothing to say that he is going to improve this year. He might, but it's not a guarantee. We're just down to the last couple rounds here.
Yeah.
Started to see some interesting names go off the board. Manzardo lasted a little longer than I thought.
Yeah, I'm just like filling in. It's funny that we mentioned I actually passed on James Paxton for Jack Flaherty. I've been like the Flaherty guy for the price, of course. But Paxton seems like a good play in an IL league.
Yeah, I don't mind Paxton at all.
Like, almost to what you mentioned with Glasnow. Well, he's not Tyler Glasnow on a permanent basis.
No.
But when he's out there, he's a guy you proactively want to start him when he's pitching for the Dodgers. So I'm just, if you can't tell, a lot of times my benches, Joe, just to get strategic, a lot of times I like to fill in my offense with guys I'm not planning on replacing and then just pile on the pitchers, bro. Because Sporer refers to it, and it might have been him and Pollock. They mentioned team streaming, right? Having a wealth of pitchers that are not every week guys, but you draw from that well in order to stream.
Right.
And I have found that is my not only my favorite, but it's my most successful means of playing fantasy baseball. Up front, plate appearances are hard to find. Guys that are not platooned are hard to find. Not to say pitchers are easy, but there's so many of them because there's 5 starters and the injury rate with the guys returning that just I'd like to fill up on shore plate appearances and then just stack the starters, man, because we all know unless you have a top 2 round starter, nobody wants to throw anyone up against the Braves. Yeah. And you wish you had James Paxton pitching against, even if it's the Diamondbacks or pitching against the Cubs, rather than, even like I said, a good pitcher, having to face the Braves. I don't think I started anyone against the Braves last year, to be honest. Right? Why would you?
unless you're talking about the top 5 or 7 pitchers, there's really, I mean, even then sometimes.
Right.
This is weekly, right? We're setting these lineups weekly, right? Not
That's
daily.
correct. Yeah. Correct.
Thank God for that. Daily is a little much. My home league is daily, and it's kind of the only one I can do at this point. My home league is nuts.
All the power to you people, all the power to the daily people. I get it. It's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to manage your team because it really adds a lot of nuance. It's very, very difficult. And unless you have a league full of people that can handle it, it almost becomes unfair, right? It becomes like the unemployment league. You know, I've had that experience before. Now I kind of work at home, so I'm probably the nightmare in that league. I've been in that league where, and this again, a long time ago, I was an electrician. Electricians wake up here before the crack of dawn. Dude, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning, and people made moves already.
Yeah.
And you're like, how did I possibly get beat to it? Then 1 or 2 guys would be up watching the West Coast stuff. And, Robert Suarez comes off the mound with a strained shoulder at 3:25 Eastern, with around for, and boom, they make immediate moves. It makes it almost not fair, right? We want them playing a little more level, or I do.
Yeah.
Joe, I like these. I like these later picks, man. So Joe went Beatty, Jose Siri, Alex Cobb, Tyler McGill. That's a good one. DVR just went 4 outfielders in a row. Alec Thomas, Tommy Pham, Edward Olivares, and Richie Palacios. You know, he had that I'm going to fill in the outfield later, Joe. Not that those guys are bad in a vacuum. I don't think you're getting enough plate appearances there. You know,
you're probably not. Like, he went Alvarez and then didn't take another outfielder until Sawinski. Sawinski's tough because he goes so hot and cold. There's weeks where you're gonna want to sit him, and it's gonna just be tricky. Marte's getting older. I think I agree with you that he did kind of make up for it a little bit, but I still think he's lacking in plate appearances for sure.
Oh my gosh, brutal.
Last 2 picks here for Big John.
Oh my gosh, I really don't even. Oh, okay. Oh, I know who I wanted to come away with. Oh, come on. My thing's. Oh, I'm gonna get timed again. This freaking thing, the queue is. Timed again, man. My computer froze. Can you hear me? Hello?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, shit, man. Oh, that's so annoying. It happened again.
Who did you have up there?
Gasser.
Okay. Robert Gasser.
Yeah, Robert Gasser, Milwaukee. I was looking at.
Yeah, I think you should be good. You should be good here.
But I just feel bad because what I don't get is the queue. The queue is not. The queue is not. It's not taking the top player.
It should. That should be a default on every site. I don't know why it wouldn't, but it might just be because of the custom way they have tout set up. I'm down to my last pick. I'm just trying to see if I should go for upside or a little stability, maybe. Yeah, maybe I'll go for an upside play. Rosie Contreras, I want to be interested in him, but I just can't.
I am.
I don't think he missed enough bats.
Well, again, it's another a trajectory guy, right? You're not paying for it. So you're kind of leaning back on, some of the pedigree and hope. He's only 24, hoping that they could really build off it. I mean, it's funny because he was actually very good in the pros in 22.
Yeah.
And he's been very good in the minors. Pittsburgh hasn't really developed players the last couple of years, but as of late, they've been okay. I don't think Ortiz is going to keep him out for long, right? Because that's really who's blocking him. Who else is there? It's a guard. They're trapped. Is it Marco Gonzalez?
Is he in Pittsburgh now?
Okay, so it's right now the roster resource rotation. Mitch Keller, he's a lock, obviously. Martin Perez, Marco Gonzalez, Luis L. Ortiz, and Bailey Falter. That's miserats, bro. Miserats. You can't run that out there. That's garbage. You can't start those guys. Ortiz maybe has a flash here or there. Could be a 5-starter. They're going to have to fill in. Those guys are not any good. Dude, seriously, I mean, Marco Gonzalez is coming off a drive line, and it was funny because emojis and all this shit, but if you didn't read the tweet, he touched 89.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Bro, like, the video is, he throws it, everybody in the video is going, oh! And everyone's sick excited, and it was like, he touched 89, he hadn't touched 85 in 2 years or something.
Jesus.
It's like, maybe that's a better sign that it's over,
Yeah.
than anything.
Yeah, start filing your retirement paperwork if you're hitting 89.
Yeah, I just think, again, listen, it's funny. That's one of the fun draft champion conversations where it's like, well, he's a living human being with a job and a jersey. But it's like, can you get anything from him? I mean, are you ever going to want to get him? They don't strike anybody out. So, yeah, so to Rowanzi, I just think he only has to be half decent because I believe that Red Sea is going to part for him. I think Rowanzi is going to get a chance. Especially if they hit, then like they may need to start pushing his pitching to try and secure some actual wins.
Their lineup is actually surprisingly pretty good, Pittsburgh.
I agree. Got obviously, O'Neal Cruz is like such a linchpin. He's such a big part of it.
Yeah, if he's not healthy, then forget it. But between him and Hayes and Reynolds at the top, last pick time. Shit. It's just the problem is like you can find assets at this point, but they're just terrible OBP. But I guess it doesn't really matter in round 29.
Oh, okay. Hello? I thought I dropped out for a second.
No, you're there.
Okay.
I think I know who I want.
Right. Well, I'm locked. I have to take a catcher at this point.
Oh, you didn't have your C2 yet.
No, I never took my C2. But at the same token, and hopefully this is a lesson for people that might find themselves in somewhat deeper drafts. Joe, is before Justin left, what did we say? I said Pinto or Fermin. Fermin's waiting there. Now, it'd be funny if someone takes like a third catcher and it's Freddie Fermin right now. But and then you just kind of push forward. You just kind of figure it out. It like is what it is. And I'm going to be waiting for. Man, I'm actually tempted to like draft Herrera over him. I just don't know if Herrera is gonna. I don't know if Herrera is gonna play to start.
Yeah, I don't know about the at bats for him over the course of the season.
I think he's a guy I might be like looking to add at some point. Gosh, I really am down to like backup catchers. Yeah, I don't know. I forgot that Perez is in Kansas City. I kind of assumed he was going to DH a lot. But I guess that's Velasquez. Like, you think Sal Perez really catches every day?
No, not at this point. But I don't know if Melendez is going to catch at all. Like, Fermin is probably going to get a decent run. Melendez caught, 7 times last year? 8 times? I wouldn't be surprised if it's 0 or close to 0.
Yeah. Oh, right. Perez only caught 90 games, 21 at first, 29 at the DH. So, yeah, that's probably my best chance. It's just like a split duty right now,
Yeah. I mean, catcher, there might be somebody who comes up. I should say it before you pick maybe. What about Henry Davis? He must have got drafted at some point, right?
I actually didn't. I didn't see him. Well, I have 40 seconds. I cannot time out again. DVR's gonna have my ass. Let's see. Did he go? Maybe he went. I didn't see it, but he's like the great mystery because of the. Yeah, he's gone. All right, Freddie Fermin it is. Let's go. And that's my hole. Joe, make your last one. I have to get out of here. This went a little bit longer than I thought. Ooh, Jared Jones on Pittsburgh. Derek Van Riper. Good pick to close.
My last pick is Adam Duvall. And then
I love that. Pull power God, my friend. All right, do you mind if I scoot out of here?
No, that's going to...
Joe, that was incredible, man. Such good content, brother. Great to chop it up with you, man.
It's going to do it for me as well. I'm going to wrap this thing up. John, I really appreciate you coming on. Before you kick out, is there anything you want to plug? Any articles?
Yeah, just Twitter. Just at John Laghezza on Twitter. The pin tweet is my ranks. I've been going on and on about it. All my work is streamlined through Twitter at John Laghezza. Make sure you're checking out John's work. I'm at Joel Rico 99. Guys, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate everybody coming along for the ride. And we'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, take care, guys.